We are all existing. We are all becoming. And if nothing else, we are proof. Living proof.
Yeah, all good.
All good. Welcome, man.
Hi.
Hi. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks.
Nice
Nice to be here in this lovely little spot.
Yeah. Thank you for coming down, taking the time out of your day. Obviously,
I get to drive through Cheddar. I'm like, it's good.
Did you come down the gorge?
No. I came the other way down the long road. Stuck behind someone most of the way, as always. But yeah, so I tried that.
You come out into the sticks, and that's what you get. You get stuck behind stuff. So, Andy, welcome. For those who don't know, Andy, second name Valentine, is the owner and proprietor and content creator at Garage Tinkering, and a man that I've known for quite a few years now.
15 years?
Yeah.
Probably something like that.
Starting out.
It was in the music scene I got to know you, wasn't it?
And the
open mics. Mr. Wolves.
Yeah.
God, that feels like a long time ago now.
Doesn't it just?
How far we've come.
It's a far cry away from standing on stage.
Yeah. What kind of stuff were you doing back then? I can't.
That was the chase. So
that was the chase.
Yeah.
Of course it was. I remember your video in the kitchen, Chase in the kitchen.
Yeah,
that was peak Chase.
Eating pizza and singing funky songs.
Yeah, and then I was doing 80s and 90s dance tracks as a solo acoustic artist.
You were, and you had the velvet tassel from the end of your guitar.
God, that guitar's still wild looking. I ended up like
got it?
Sharpieing it, and it's insane looking now. I still got it. Yeah. I have two guitars now. I got that, and I bought a Fender limited edition Telecaster HH FMT. Oh, it's a beautiful guitar, but it doesn't get played. But
so you just look at it.
Yeah, it hangs on the wall, and it used to be in the background of all of my YouTube videos. And people were like, "Why have you got guitars in the background of your YouTube video for an automotive electronics channel?" I'm like, yeah. So my office space has recently had a rejig, and now it's just
higher.
yeah, just some tread marks all at the wall. Now I've got a plaque that I got from YouTube recently, which is nice. Not the plaque that I want, not quite yet, the 100,000 plaque, but they gave me a clapperboard thing, which is really cool. I've got the top 1,000 channels to watch in 2025.
Wow!
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
And we're going to get into this, but. When we start talking about the time scales of all of this,
it's been wild.
I think it's just testament to the amount of hard work and dedication that you've been putting into it.
And luck. A lot of it, there's no question that it's luck. But yeah, I've put myself in a good position. I think a lot of that draws from everything I guess we're going to go through. And it's like these diverging paths that prepared me that all came together into this thing, which... is a thing now. 5 years from now, I'm probably going to be like, no, there's something different. And that's, I think, a bit of an ongoing problem and like story of my life. But yeah.
I mean, let's dive into the story of your life. Because every life has a story.
It does. Yeah.
So let's start with the very beginning. In the beginning, there was Andy.
Yeah, there was.
And where did Andy from?
Little Andrew Whitehead, as he was born, was Midlands, Burton-on-Trent, little brewing town up by Derby, Nottingham kind of way. Born to two parents, like most kids of the 80s. Yeah, I reckon I had probably the quintessential small town, growing up. It was all families that had been born and stayed in that town. And it's funny, like after leaving school, my friends who flew the Burton-on-Trent nest and went elsewhere all did their thing. A lot of them are, either jet setting or have families and travel and all that. But all the ones who stayed in Burton, like immediately started throwing out children and setting up roots in Burton and never left Burton. And that's, I think it's a thing that was very, very common in kind of like the early 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
And like my brother stayed in Burton. He went to Stafford University. He stayed close, and then he's still local. And he bought a house cheap because he's in a cheap part of the world and had 2 kids, and has a fantastic little life for him. But then Burton was never right for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's a small town. I think I always wanted to stretch my legs, and I always wanted to like feel it was more. And I had a really good childhood. Don't get me wrong. You know, parents fantastic. My dad is still probably the biggest inspiration in my life and has been for a long time, and we can talk about that in a sec. But you know, I always felt that if I stayed there, I'd be really limited by what I was ever had the ability to do, and I had aspirations, I think, beyond that, and still do.
Yeah.
And I think I've constantly felt myself chasing those big goals, and then, you know, maybe failing, and then changing direction slightly, and deviating, and trying to make the best of every situation that goes. But yeah, it was very much a brewing town.
Right.
You know, it's the home of Bass, and well, it was Bass, it's now Coors, but Bass, Tetley's, McVitie's, Marmite. Like, you step off the train and the entire place smells like Marmite and ale.
Oh, I quite like that. That sounds quite good.
You do until you live there for 18 years.
Yeah. Desensitized.
Yeah. And, you know, it was one of those things that, you know, you grow up in there, and the school was good. You know, it was perfectly fine. I never, you know, hugely enjoyed school, but it was like, I don't know. I
Did you do both primary and secondary
yeah.
then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was there until finishing A levels.
Okay. So before we gloss over that,
Yeah.
because like it could easily be, you know,
Yeah.
what was your life like at school? What was your interests? Like, do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Like the moments of musical inspiration? Or
Yeah.
moments
So
of...
there were 2, maybe 3 specific teachers that I think shaped who I became as an adult. There was Mrs. Merrick, who was my form tutor, but she was also the music teacher. And she identified in me quite quickly, so year 7, getting to secondary school, that I was like musically inclined and I liked to perform. And so she got me doing drama, and she got me like learning the violin at 11 years old, something like that, which I then played for many years until I got bullied for playing the violin because it was a girls' instrument.
What age was that?
13, 14. So I ended up putting it down because of that. And then I picked up the guitar because it was a cool boys' instrument. And I've played it ever since. But, you know, so she always encouraged me to get into like drama and stuff, because she was always like, "Oh, Andy, you're attention seeking." Later, turns out, many years down the line, after some therapy, I have HPD, histrionic personality disorder.
What's histrionic?
So it basically is an attention seeker. So somebody who could physically feels uncomfortable when they're not the focus of the conversation.
Huh.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time in therapy moving myself out of this mindset, and it's been one of the bigger challenges in my life. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like, I never knew, like, as a kid, you just think it's just the way I am. I'm loud, and I don't cause trouble. I was a good kid, I'd say. But yeah, I felt most at home when I was on stage and I was like singing or performing and like, you know, making someone laugh or something like that. That always, yeah, it always felt good to me. So she got me into drama, and I did school productions, and I got leads in some of the roles and performed and sang. And then I was in choir, which is where I like really learned to sing properly. And then I was in like competitive 4-piece choirs, like Glee stuff. Yeah. So we did that, and then I had another music teacher, Mr. Vernon, who was also instrumental in like developing that and pushing me. So like being on stage, I think, and it's why I now feel like very okay in front of a camera. And you know, I guess what I do for a job is a performance. And it's funny, like I think I can feel myself doing it right now, is that I switch into a slightly different voice.
Right.
I slow down and I over enunciate, and I project things a lot more than I would when I'm just sitting having a normal conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And I know that I do that because of my history being on stage, and they're like, the person in the back row has to understand perfectly clearly everything that you're saying.
Yes.
So I learned to do that, and it's also why I learned to shake my accent, because everyone from Burton-on-Trent is like, all right, Duck, how you doing? Like, I can't do the accent anymore, but if I speak to my brother, I'm just like, I would not be well known on the internet if I had your accent still. And that's no discredit to him. I love him to bits, but he calls everyone Duck. All right, Duck. And my dad calls everyone Cock, which I always thought was, he still calls me Cock growing up. Like now, he's like, all right, Cock. And you know, your mates go, Dad just call you a cock. I was like, no, he's from Tamworth.
It's not a cock, it's cock.
It's short for cocker. And it's like everyone calls everyone cocker in Tamworth where he's from. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was them, and then my art teacher realised I was good at creating art. So I was always pushed to do artistic creativity and paint and multimedia and all that kind of stuff. But then there was one guy, and he did D&T. So whilst we were like building jewelry boxes out of wood and, you know, learning to use a jigsaw or whatever it was, he noticed that I had an interest in how things worked. And it's something that I've always had an interest in. Like growing up, my dad on a Sunday would be out every Sunday cleaning his car. So I would come out and I'd get my bike and I'd clean my bike. And then one day I'm like, how do the gears work? So I'd like take them apart and put them back together and figure out exactly what was going on under there and how the process worked.
Yeah.
And then, you know, years later, I'm still doing the same things. Like now, I can. It's funny. I see people like, oh, the fuse has gone in a plug, and I've got no idea what to do. I'm like, it's one screw, and a fuse goes in and out, and put it back together, and that's your plug fixed. Yeah. People are like so afraid of these things that are fundamentally quite simple because they've never had that curiosity to delve into the slightly deeper level below and just figure out how things work. And I was having a conversation with another kid in my class about the traffic lights by the bottom of the entrance to the school and how they were terrible and how the timings were always just like mad. And like the flow of traffic was just, the timings on the traffic lights were bad, basically. And he said, well, why don't you figure out a better timing process for it? And then in order to do that, he taught me logic gates. So how and or XOR kind of gates work. Yeah. So it's like if you send a message for an and, you have to have A and B on to turn the light on. Or is A or B. Or, well, A or B could be on and it would turn on. And then you've got exclusive or XOR. Like A or B, but not A and B. And like, so he taught me all this. And we built using Visual Basic, which was like the only programming language really available at the time, a rudimentary replica of this traffic light system, and then tried to figure out the timings that would get better flow. So that, just learning those logic gates made me go, oh my God, this programming stuff's amazing. Because for me, it was creating art with mathematics.
So this teacher knew programming as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and so he sat me down and he was like, well, what else of this is interesting? I was like, well, what's all these? So we had an IT teacher. She hated me. And I don't to this day know why she hated me, but she gave me a hard time about everything. And I was good. I was a good programmer, even at an early age, like 14 years old. Visual Basic was coming out. So we were learning VB and we were learning to code teletext. This is show what years it was. We're talking 1993, something like that. So internet, not a thing yet. Mm-hmm. So we were learning Visual Basic and teletext and all that kind of stuff. And he sat down and he spent that time with me learning those things. I was just then interested about like the deeper level. So he was like, oh, do you know what binary is? I was like, I know roughly that's a 1 and a 0. I had no concept of how that translated to anything. So he sat down with me and taught me how numbers translate to binary and then how binary translates to hexadecimal, and how there are these other numbering systems. And I was like, 15 years old, maybe. I was going into GCSEs, I think. And it was just like, and you could use all this stuff, like I say, to make art. And then when we started getting more into Visual Basic, and it was then like, how can I use mathematics to create things that work and do things, solve problems? And that, I think, has been kind of like the driving factor behind most of my professional career that I've had, as well as a lot of the my own career and like doing my self-employment stuff. It's been a mix of like, how can I create something pretty or something that serves a purpose in a humanistic way, in a way that works well with a human being, but using fundamentally mathematics to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Which is what I think programming is.
I think that is the fundamental difference between engineer and engineer, isn't it? It's like some engineers look at things and they're like, how can I get the fastest from point A to point B? And how can the computer do that calculation the fastest? But when you start to then put human into it, that might not necessarily be the best route for the human to be able to do it. And therefore you have to go a long-winded way around, but you end up with
it's like this thing, right, that if you go onto a shop's website and the comes up and it's like, do you want to chat to an agent? And you're like, hi, help me with this thing. And it goes, and it puts the 3 dots.
And
it waits a second and then it replies. That AI has no reason to wait, right? It's faking it to make itself appear more human. And that's the element of the human coming into that conversation in order to make the average person accept it more. It's nothing about like the ease or the best practice. In reality, the best would be, can I help? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Response, just like, get on with it. But it doesn't do that. It tries to make it,
because humans aren't machines, right?
Exactly.
So they need that time to be like, oh, I feel good about how I asked that question.
Exactly.
And because when you're having a conversation, it is very much there's gaps and there's pauses and there's like a bit of the emotional sense. So to replicate that makes total sense. But before because I'm aware that we could go really deep, and we will, into technology, because I think that's where we're gonna
probably
see. This is where your life has gone, right? But I just want to come back to the school period and back to the violin, back to the HPF, was it that you called it? HPD. And I just got this curiosity, because for me, like, as you were talking, I have some similar life experiences as you, right? Mine was a bit sort of stretched around ADHD as well. So there was the hyperactive element to that, and also a desire to be seen, and a desire for self-worth, and a desire to be understood, basically, which I think a lot of people have, but it's just when you're a performer, which you are, which I am, you end up looking for those things. How do you think, or what do you think were the fundamental sort of driving points from your childhood up to there that made you feel like you wanted to be seen?
Good question.
Tough question.
Okay, so many years later with therapy, I found out that I have a lifelong issue with self-worth. And a lot of that stems from, I think, things outside of our control, right? In being the age that we are. And we were talking about this earlier and just saying like how I think every time with especially elder millennials, we kept getting to points that we were promised in our lives. And we were told, if you do X, Y, and Z, then this thing will happen. If you go to university, you get a good degree, you'll get a good job, you'll get a house, you'll get a wife and a car and
white picket fence, dog, and all that.
And it all happens so long as you do these things. So we all did all those things, and then none of those things afterwards happened. And I feel like that's been, rightly or wrongly, a thing that happened through my entire life because of the influence of my parents.
Yeah.
So like my dad, for example, and you know, I am truly the amalgamation of my parents. My dad's an engineer, my mum's an artist.
Okay, perfect.
Right. So my dad started an apprenticeship at British Telecom, age 16.
Mm-hmm.
He worked at British Telecom for 42 years and then retired at 58 with like 3 years salary, a golden handshake, you know, a pension that is unfathomable in current like times. And it was always like, yeah, you just do the same and it'll all happen. And it never did. And like every single time I felt like I was getting traction in anything, I would compare myself to his life. And it would always feel like it fell short. And that happened across a lot of different factors. Like I was a very good footballer growing up.
Yeah.
My dad was better. But funny, his dad was better. So his dad played for England.
Okay.
My dad played like semi-pro. I fell short. And it was funny, one day I was playing a football game and someone came up to me after the end of the game and said, Andy, you're really good, but your dad's better, or your dad was better. And I told him about it and he laughed and said, I once had a game where someone came up to me and went, Ian, you're really good, but your dad was better. It's just like, maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe we all fall short of our parental expectations. But I don't know. I think because partially of the ADHD and partially because of the HPD, and also I had what used to be categorized as Asperger's, it's now just ASD.
Yeah.
I felt that, I don't know, I was always striving for things that maybe never happened. And all of my report cards, if you go back, are like, Andy has,
I already know what you're going to say.
Andy has a lot of potential, but yeah, you know, but doesn't concentrate or is always talking. Or one of my teachers always used to be, Andy's always making noises on the table. Why the fuck is Andy always making noises on the table? Later on, 20 years down the line, and like, yes, ADHD.
Could try harder.
Yeah, could try harder. Like, should be getting straight A's, but why is he getting B's?
Yeah.
And it's like, it has so much potential, but he just doesn't concentrate. And honestly, I don't think I really found myself until after I left school and I went to university. Because for me, that was a clean slate. Because I'm suddenly disappearing from this 17, 18 years of people knowing me and growing up with me. And suddenly I've got this opportunity to be a completely different version of me.
Yeah.
And I've fucked it up. To start with, I messed it. Like, went to university and then exactly the same traits happened. And then I've got money for the first time with a student loan and, oh no, I've spent it. What's happened? Dad, please help. Like these like recurring themes, a big part of my life has always been alcohol, rightly or wrongly. I grew up in a brewing town, 15, 16, and everybody starts on it pretty hard.
Yeah.
And, I've got way too many horrible stories of arriving home on my parents' doorstep, 17, and passing out, there's a massive spider.
Oh, is there? Oh, yeah.
He's a big boy.
Are you scared of spiders?
I'd rather it not attack me.
Well, I don't think it will.
No, I've got a bigger foot.
Let's
than
run away.
Yeah, we're fine for now.
Let's not kill spiders.
Yeah.
But welcome.
It was, I just caught it out of the peripheral vision. I was like,
I've been scared of spiders my entire life, and then my fiance got me a Brazilian black tarantula, who is now like this big.
Wow.
And he's terrifying. But I am now seeing him running across. The old me would be like, I need him to leave right now.
I had my first positive 2 experiences of my entire life with spiders this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In the shower. And we've got, those tiny ones with the tiny thin legs, but they're really good because they actually are really fast and they get rid of the big spiders.
Yeah. The sort of daddy long legs.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So it was one of them who lives up above my shower and I've left him because he does get rid of other. Sometimes I see another bigger spider in his little web. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave him be. But I was in the shower and we've got a thing where the shampoo and everything goes. and the water's running and it's dripping, and I can see him hanging, and he's not scary, he's scared that he's getting washed away. And I'm suddenly like, I have empathy for a spider for the first time in my entire life. And suddenly all the fear I had from this spider disappeared. So I put my hand under it, picked him up, and like put him back in the top corner. And he basically stood there, and he did a little like a little bounce jig, and then scurried off to the other side of the corner. And that was my first hands-on positive experience I've had with a spider in my entire life. And that literally happened like 3 days ago. And then this was really funny. We were sat in the lounge, and we've got the big front window, and there's a spider's web that's been made on the other side of the front window. Yeah. And there's a female cross spider.
Yeah.
Right in the middle. Quite big. Yeah. Right, thick body.
Yeah.
And we keep seeing this other one coming in down the web, and she's like, this puts up two of the things. And so we got ChatGPT up, and we're talking to ChatGPT, and it's like, what are these spiders? Sent a picture of it. And he's like, oh, and ChatGPT is so chatty these days. It's like, oh, these are cross spiders. Like, maybe you're seeing them fight, or maybe, if you're lucky, it's a mating ritual. And this other spider just kept coming in, and she just kept attacking it, and then it would swing away and come back. And basically the little one was a male trying to mate with the female, and she wasn't having any of it. And we were like, this is going to either end up in mating, or we're going to see like some death. Yeah. And we literally for hours stood by this window just watching this thing happen. Like we had like Love Is Blind on. We're like, no, we're not watching that crap. We're just going to watch these spiders.
This is real Love Is Blind.
It was so good. And yeah, and then it started raining, and you saw them run away and scurry underneath the windowsill on the outside of the windowsill to stay out of the rain.
Get a room, right? Oh.
Yeah, well, so I went and checked them this morning. The female's back, and the male is like hid up in the corner. So I think he's biding his time. He's waiting for a day when she's less temperamental. But
right, okay.
But seeing him come down, and she'd just go, and she'd put these front two arms up, and then the little one coming down and like poking at it. I've got some photos of it. It was just really interesting, and it was the first time I've kind of like not been super scared of them.
I think the universe loves to have a way to constantly remind you that it's watching, and it's present, and it's here.
Sure.
And to have two positive spider encounters followed by a spider here, while like this is a very odd format for fear.
Yeah,
because it's very raw, it's very naked, right? Like if you have fear when you're producing a video, you can go, I'm just going to get rid of the fear, and then I'm going to carry on producing my video.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas here, like it's here, and there's nothing we can do about that. And welcome. It's gone somewhere.
And
we'll live with
find it later.
We'll live with it. So
that was off topic.
It was, but spiders.
What a lovely journey. It's all the web. It all comes back, right?
Yeah, into the Spider-Verse. So you were turning up drunk at 17, passing out.
Oh, yeah.
Parents' doors.
Yeah, so obviously I was a big old disappointment a lot of the time growing up. And, my parents love me, and they're very proud. Are you seeing lots of yourself in this, right?
I'm seeing lots of myself in this. Also, it's like, it's the expectation that, because I do this, right? It's the projection of expectation that we put onto our parents and onto peers and stuff like that. And we perceive their desire for us to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And as you say, it's like, but my parents love me and all this stuff.
And it might not even be true. Like the thing is, right, I have relationships with people now, and you realize later on as a 40-something-year-old adult that you don't really force those expectations on people, though it could be easy for people to see why they think they do. So maybe me going, oh, okay, my parents expect this, this, and this of me. Maybe that wasn't even true, but it was a thing that I had learned or been taught in some way, that if we, like I say, we did X, Y, and Z, then this thing would happen. And maybe it wasn't actually their fault.
Fundamental building block of how you became the person that you are as well, right? So
totally, yeah.
Without that perceived expectation, real or otherwise, you wouldn't have ever had the like, oh, well, I need to kind of keep up with this. And then the self-reflection of like, well, I'm not actually meeting those expectations that I'm expecting them to expect of me.
Yeah. It's like it's circular, and it keeps coming back, and it's damning a lot of the time. But I think the problem that led to me was well, multiple things really. the circle of chaos is like I'd have this HPD, and I then later on started to develop a lot of anxiety. So anxiety has been like the biggest negative factor in my life, I'd say. But that, as according to my therapist, all came back to that self-worth issue. So it's like these other things developed the self-worth, and the self-worth developed the anxiety, and the anxiety developed the alcohol problems, right? So I would want to be the center of attention, but everybody's telling me that I'm a shit. So if I get drunk, I'll forget about that bit, and I can be the center of attention and be fun and like have a laugh with everyone, without that fear,
that ignoring voice.
Yeah, of being like, you're not enough, you haven't done enough, nobody likes you. And that, unfortunately, rightly or wrongly, the term "nobody likes you" is a thing I felt in my life probably until about 5 years ago, and I felt that my entire life. And I made a lot of decisions that I think maybe drove that, but probably 95% of it was in my head.
Self-reflection.
Yeah.
This is like, I do very much empathize with everything that you're saying, because I've had a very similar experience in that regard.
Yeah.
And I think for over-analytical minds, and I do think that things like ADHD provide over-analytical thought.
Sure.
We tend to, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself, but I feel like it's a co-experience for us, right? Tend to take all the minute details and all of the thought processes that were created in a decision that was made that we're maybe then not happy with, because of like, oh, well, actually, I wasn't taking this into consideration, and therefore all of a sudden I can understand why someone wouldn't like this of me, this aspect of me.
Yeah.
And it's that's hard work to start to rub out.
And it's also it's the compartmentalization of that thing. So like now making YouTube videos for a living, I couldn't tell you the thousands of really good comments that I've had on because I could tell you every single shit one.
Yeah.
And often that's someone just projecting their own thought or something, or their own idealistic way. The stuff I do now, we'll get into it in a bit, but the stuff I do now, I don't pretend and I don't advertise myself as some deep expert in.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's like the channel is more about learn this stuff with me whilst I learn this stuff.
Yeah.
So you get these people coming who are experts, and they're like, you shouldn't be putting this on the internet. What the fuck do you know? So the problem is you end up sometimes buying into that. And you might have 100 comments going, oh, this is really useful, this is great, this has really helped. And you get the one person who's like doing that negative thing. And it's why now my channel is about like completely crushing that negativity. And there's a lot of things you get in the car scene, and you get assholes in any community. But there is a lot of it in automotive. But, trying to just put a positive like assistance. And I think that's, like, if we pull it all the way back to the school stuff, one thing I always used to find really interesting and helpful back then was the stuff that I created. I didn't want to just create for myself. I wanted to create stuff that assisted other people or made other people's lives easier.
Yeah.
So, and whilst doing it in a way that was artistic and like felt and looked good. And it was one of the big falling outs I had with my school teacher, who was the IT teacher. She was like, I've just asked you to make this form that's got a few inputs and a button on it to learn how to do that. And you've gone and made it all like flow, and you've thought about where the buttons go and stuff. I didn't ask for any of this. I'm like, yeah, but it makes sense to do it this way. And it's like,
I dare you.
how dare you
put more thought into it.
you've gone above and beyond, and I hate you for it. And that became a running theme. So, you know, when I started doing music stuff, the music that I liked to perform, like when we first met, was always sing-along stuff. So for me, performing a song that you've written is great. And performing stuff with a band is great. But performing a song and having 100 people sing along with you is way better.
Yeah.
And especially if it's just something that's just everybody knows. You play you play, I don't know, All That She Wants by Ace of Base, right? And you've got everybody, all that she wants is just amazing feeling, just to having everybody going with you. And then so later on, years down the line, I got into costume making, which in cosplay that we can get into. And like, I didn't just start making outfits. I started making outfits, but then teaching how to make outfits.
I remember.
And then I got into the 3D modeling. And instead of just making props for myself, I made props that other people could download and use for their own costumes, because people didn't have the time to learn how to do 3D modeling. So empowering other people. And now my thing, you know, I started trying to make car content because I wanted just to make fun stuff. And now it's become an education channel because that same thing has happened again.
It's coming. It's the circle.
Yeah. And it's always been about, I think, when they talk about self-worth, my parents had their fantastic careers and they did, you know, the great things that they did. That was never going to end up being an option for me because those like career paths don't exist. And I think I quite quickly figured that out. So a lot of my life I've spent thinking about what are people going to remember of me when I'm gone? What lasting legacy, for want of a better word, am I going to have? Am I going to be remembered in a positive way? Am I going to be remembered for things that I've personally achieved? Or, you know, and I would much rather leave this world knowing that I've assisted tens of thousands of people to better their own lives than necessarily have had an amazing life myself.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a weird thing to kind of realize about myself.
Was that sort of in line with the 5 years ago revelation where you started unpicking and unlocking?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of stuff happened 5 years ago. At that point in time, I was working for, let's just say, a military defense company in Bristol. That's all we need to say about that.
There you go.
And I wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah.
Some stuff happened, some work that I was doing at the time, which I can't really talk about, ended up becoming more weaponized than I would have liked.
Totally not surprised that would be against someone who wants to help enable people.
And something that a piece of software that someone had been designing themselves for many years, suddenly having this like different use case. Don't and can't get into a lot of that.
No, fair enough.
But my coping mechanism for that at the time was getting drunk.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when you're getting drunk and then you're being asked to get into meetings at 11 a.m. with chiefs of staff of major European stuff,
yeah,
it's not good. So I, was balancing my life out the sensible way by taking cocaine a lot. And, a year of quite heavy abuse later, which all stems back to my childhood and growing up with having an unhealthy attachment to alcohol, meant my partner left and I lost my house and like all this shit happened. And it's, it took me the hardest phone call I've ever had in my entire life to a group in Bristol called Smart, who are it's like AA without Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's about actionable recovery training. So I can't remember what the actual action, self-management, actionable recovery training, I think is what it is. And it's like, you make the decision every day to drink. You can make the decision to do something else. You just got to train yourself to do it. And it's about all these actions you can take. And then, I've made that phone call and I've never touched alcohol since. So it's been 5 years.
5 years. So that's from that phone call
to
date. And is that a supported network if someone was looking for support themselves?
Yeah,
after
yeah.
seeing
So
this, that's something that is available and present.
Yeah, so still a group. I haven't been in the meetings. I went into meetings for about a year. I'll say never drank again. I drank once after that. And then after that I realised. So after I stopped, I was like, okay, can't touch alcohol. I poured all the drink away in the house. My partner just left. I'm in this big house by myself. And they were like, oh, you need to ring a GP if you're going to go sober from having drank a bottle of vodka a day, which is what I was doing. I was hiding it behind isopropanol in my 3D printing cupboard because I was an idiot. I was trying to hide it from my partner, and she wasn't an idiot, and it was obvious. But hindsight is 20/20. They were like, whatever you do, don't just get rid of all your alcohol because you'll have like really bad health issues if you just go teetotal.
Right.
You need to reduce your output for like 2 weeks. I was like, nope, this is not happening. I'm not drinking again. Got rid of everything. And unfortunately, I was okay.
Okay.
But then 6-8 months later, having a party at my house, people are drinking, I'm fine, I've not been drinking. Next day after the party, someone had left a bottle of wine behind. Like, okay, I'm 8 months sober. I'm pretty sure now I can have a healthy relationship with alcohol. I'll have a glass of wine and call it. I had a glass of wine. Well, the bottle's open. I just have a second one. Be fine. Bottle's gone. And then I wake up and I'm on the sofa and there's 3 empty bottles of wine because I've gone out and I bought it. I've forgotten it. And I've got a massive hangover. And it was that point I was like, okay, Andy, you're not going to have a healthy relationship with alcohol at any point in your life. Like, it's one of those things that once I start, I can't stop. I have no management with it. So I was like, okay, that's fine. If that's the way it's got to be, I'm never going to touch alcohol again. I never did. And there is not one tiny element of my life that has not been made better by becoming sober.
Yeah, that is what I hear from. I've got a few friends who have gone through similar challenges, and with alcohol especially, and that is the prevailing message, which is once you actually are able to stay away from it, that everything just seems so much more achievable and attainable and stable because
all my anxiety is gone. Because I was medicating it in a terrible way.
Yeah.
And not realizing it, that I've been medicating it with alcohol since 16 years old.
Which creates anxiety because then you end up in a mindset that is fractured and hungover and broken.
Yeah.
So you're then more worried about how you're going to behave during that day. So the next thing to do is to go back to the bottle and try and...
Also, I had this self-worth issue where for a long time, I've made some good career decisions and I've always earned in the upper proportion of people rather than just scraping by financially. So I always had like an okay amount of money. So we would go out and most of my friends have not had that same life. So I would put my car behind the bar and I'll pay for the drinks, it's fine. And my value, I felt that my value became that.
Yeah.
My value wasn't who I was, but is what I could give.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I say that up until only 5 years ago, did I start valuing myself and feeling that nobody likes me. I always felt that people only invited me to things because they wanted me to pay for drinks or they wanted my missus to come along. And that was the only reason I'd get to go to stuff. Not because they wanted to actually see me. And I still, part of me thinks that might be true for some of those relationships. And,
and it might be.
It might be.
But it's not for all. And also it's what you created, right?
Yeah. But now I get invited to stuff. I'm like, okay, it's because they want me to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm not that person. And, I know that my companionship and my relationship with people has value and it has worth.
Yeah.
I'm a good person. I'm a person worth knowing. And I adore helping people out on their own life stuff. I haven't had a single friend in the last few years who's gone, I've broken down. And I haven't gone, right, I'm on the way.
Yeah.
Just drop everything and just go and fix them and sort them out. It's just whatever it is, I adore the fact that I'm able to do that for people, but without the expectation of doing that for people. No one ever picks up the phone and goes, I know if I call Andy, he'll drop everything
Mm.
and he'll do it. But they might put a message up just on Facebook. Oh, I've broken down. And I know that I like being the kind of person that can see a message like that and go, yeah, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
With no expectations of anything in return, just putting good out into the world.
It's a lot of compassion.
Yeah. And I feel like the first 35 years of my life were quite damaging to other people because of my own actions. Like the trouble with alcohol, I lost 3 of my big relationships through drinking. And I feel like my problem was I always looked at it as, well, the only person it affects negatively is me. And I wouldn't see the harm that I was causing other people. And that is not necessarily just with alcohol. That's with the HPD. That's with, the elements of autism and not picking up often, and still is a thing. I don't pick up quite what the message that someone's trying to say is.
Yeah.
And it always used to be that whole man thing where your partner goes, oh, I've had a shit day. And I'm like, right, how can we solve it? And it's like, they don't want solving, they want some empathy.
Yeah.
And you have to solutionize the issue in a slightly different way. But
it's a learning process, though, isn't it? It's like no one's asking kids to come out, go through a schooling system, and then immediately become competent adults. Because if that was the case, society would be pretty good. But like we all have to go through stages of understanding self, because that is like self-actualization is what it is, right?
And I'm amazed it took so long. Like,
dude, I don't think it took that long. Like, I'm looking at you going, well, this is incredibly self-reflective. It's incredible. I mean, there are people now who 70, 80, who sit there and go, I regret all of that. And now in 30s, late 30s, 40s now.
Yeah, 40s.
Okay, so now in your 40s, but as you said, 5 years ago, so 37, right? You started that journey to continued that journey to understand self, and you're trying now to live a life that you don't sit on your deathbed and go, I regret that.
I mean, I guess most people aren't willing to put literally thousands of pounds into therapy.
Everyone should, though.
I have 0 bad words to ever say about therapy. It'll break you down, but often that's what you need.
Yeah.
It was really interesting going through these things and learning these things about myself, and suddenly being like, oh, okay, well, these feelings aren't bad things. And a lot of the time, again, especially being like millennial men, we're brought up that you quash your feelings. Men do not cry. What do you mean? Like, I've seen my dad cry twice in his entire life. And so I would bottle stuff up for years, like pains and resentments, and like this whole thing about talking outwardly about feeling that I'm unliked or unloved or incapable of being loved. Like quite hard things to feel inwardly. And you would spend so long bottling those things and feeling like showing them is a sign of weakness and it's less of being a man. And it took so long to realize that's such bullshit.
Such bullshit.
And still, these days, it's just drilled into kids. Yeah. And like, it's so damaging. And like, I personally don't want kids. It's not on my life journey. Fortunately, my partner's in the same way, so that's all good. But, when you see it with other people's kids, and like, it's hard to see, because you almost can feel the groundwork for becoming misaligned adults being put into play. The
preconditioning, because they don't feel safe to be able to express their emotions.
Yeah. And I think maybe a lot of it is that safety. It's like feeling that they're being put into a situation where their thoughts and their feelings, their opinions matter. When you ever see a parent screaming at their kid like, shut up, or whatever, maybe it's because they're trying to voice something to you that they don't quite understand how to get out.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to express their opinion, and maybe their opinion's bullshit, right? They're not willing.
They don't have the vocabulary
to
be able to explain themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a toddler, he's 3, and he doesn't have the vocabulary to be able to say that certain things are happening, and it can be a real challenge, you know. But it always has to come back to the fact that if you imbue this person, this little tiny human, with these boundaries, that it's like, you can't feel like that because I'm annoyed by it. And I don't always get it right. Totally honest. Sometimes tiredness, especially like in the first few years, tiredness could be a big like creator of grump. But then it's how you approach that. So if you accidentally go like, just no, you can't do that. It's the aftermath of being like, look, this is why this happened, and I'm really sorry, and da 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 da. And I don't think a lot of that happens, you know. And because we don't want to create a culture of boxed in little kids
totally.
that can't express their emotions. Because as you said, it's like, to me, being honest and open and truthful and transparent about my life journey and about the pains and struggles that I've been through, and knowing that there are billions of lives out there that have got their own life journeys, their own pains, but knowing that mine doesn't take precedent over it. It's just I feel that I have to be honest and open about it, because by speaking it and bringing voice to it, it takes away its power.
Yeah, totally.
And that was a big lesson for me with her. It's like being just honest. You know?
And it's interesting, like the amount of times I see like friend groups, and someone will turn up to a event, and they'll just be sat in the corner and be like, they seem pissy or whatever, you know, or short, and then they leave early, and everyone's going, oh, isn't blah 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 being a dick? And you're like, well, hold up, you know, they've come here, clearly something's on their mind, you know, something's affecting them. We don't know what that is. I'm not going to sit there and judge them by their actions of things that I don't necessarily understand all of the factors going on in people's lives. You know, I had a friend whose father died, and they didn't tell anyone, right? And so he's keeping it inside for months. It's like 8 months until anybody knew that it had happened. And there was something like, oh, we get now why you've disappeared from friend groups, and why we've not seen you, or no one's heard from you, or every time we do see you, you kind of like really like, literally just having a simple conversation with us would have completely mitigated all of that. But it's not our place to demand that somebody has that conversation with us if they're not ready for it. So I try to be, I think the problem is, having led a life with 30 odd years of having zero empathy, and then suddenly goddamn therapist flicking a switch, and then now having way too much empathy, probably, I find myself like being the mitigator in those conversations, of trying to be like, actually, no, we don't understand what's potentially going on, and you know, we all have our own individual lives. And like I've said to other friends, is like, you know, I'm sure you've got dozens and dozens of things going on in your life that you haven't told anybody about, that are in your brain, you know, and that are affecting the way that you are and the way that you're interacting with people. And just because other people don't see those things doesn't make them any less real. So maybe try to give people a little bit of, not space or time, but
benefit of
doubt. But and some understanding that, you know, if they're seeming out of sorts, maybe they're out of sorts for a reason, but it doesn't detract from how they are 99% of the time. Maybe it's just something in this time, in this situation. And it's a difficult thing, because, you know, I'm definitely overly empathetic now, potentially to a fault, but don't
think you can ever have too much empathy. It's like, I mean, it's the problem with it is just a troubling road, because there's so much to be empathetic for, and there's so many people that are struggling, and there's so many things and systems in place that are squashing people down, and it can be overwhelming.
This is the thing with what we talked about with like your kids, though, right? And you're trying to teach them to be great adults and like empathetic and kind and all those things. Unfortunately, the reality of a lot of the world at the moment is, if you're not willing to be a bit of a shit sometimes, you're going to get curb stomped by life, because life is getting, and the whole world is getting more and more and more difficult for everybody who's in it. One of the big reasons I don't want kids is I don't think the world is a place that I would want to bring kids up into right now. I think it's a scary place, and you know, we're becoming more and more divided, whether it's, let's look at the American left versus right situation. Most of them don't realize that the battle isn't left versus right; it's up versus down.
Yeah.
And it's been
Left versus right is the easy thing for people to look at to avoid the up versus down.
It's the misdirection.
Yeah.
It's that meme of the billionaire sitting on his big pile of money, looking at the guy in the middle on his little pile of money and going, "Hey, that guy on the no pile of money is trying to take a bit of your money."
Yeah.
It's that, and it's like.
So, let's get into this because
Sure.
I was going to go back to university and find out what you studied and all that, but to be honest, we can do that another time, or you can like
Programming and business.
Perfect. There we go. Programming business. But I think this is the more important thing. How do you feel? What are your feelings around AI and its ability to be able to begin to remove that up versus down? Because obviously we talked earlier about the spider and ChatGPT, and it was really like, flippant and fun. It's programmed in to be kind of empathetic and caring, but it's also there's obviously some things have happened where it's like, it turns out it can just be quite self-interested.
Yeah. I mean, it's all fake either way.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, you're fundamentally talking to a robot. But
logic.
Yeah, I mean, when you say AI removing the up versus down, what do you mean? Because I don't think that it does. Because
my thought on AI, if we can get it to being a benevolent assistant to humanity's best interests, all of a sudden it can calculate food routes and supply routes around the world that limit cost and can enable the world to be fed, right?
Yeah.
To completely stop starvation, because all of a sudden you don't need to stock 10,000 bananas in that state because 20% of them get eaten, the rest of them are fine. So it's like, all of a sudden, because it's got access to all the knowledge and it can react live with all of it, it's got the ability to begin to solve some of the more desperate situations in the world that create massive disparity between the top and bottom. And, the bottom being the people who can't eat and who can't get work. But in order, basically creating societies through logic where everyone has the ability to at least sustain themselves and survive.
Sure.
And I do wonder if it is the only thing that could actually do that.
I think a lot of it is moot. I think that it could come up and it go, right. I mean, we've already conceptually, the WHO conceptually ended world hunger, right? So Elon Musk, I think it was, or it's either Musk or Bezos, put a tweet out, right? One of the two. It was like, if you can show how to end world hunger for 120 billion, then I'd be amazed and I'll do it. And they went, right, here's a plan to end world hunger in 3 years. It's going to cost 119 billion. And so this guy could effectively, with a click of his fingers and like 15% of his wealth, end world hunger forever. If you took 15% of the net worth of all of the top 10 billionaires in the world, we'd end world hunger. We'd home everybody. Healthcare would be free for the entire planet forever. And but they're not going to do that because for the people. We could say, okay, well, we're going to find all these trade routes and we're going to have all these stocks and blah 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 blah. It still requires someone to go, okay, cool, I'll fund that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen because all of our billionaires they're not Tony Stark. They cosplay Tony Starks, right? They're using the AI to serve their own self-interests rather than the interests of other people. AI has started to become a way of replacing workers at the simplest like jobs, your call centers and self-management of warehouses and all these kind of stuff. So what it becomes to them isn't a tool that removes that top versus bottom. It's a tool that emboldens it,
enforces it.
Yeah, and it means that, oh great, we can use this thing for free instead of paying these 20,000 workers. So just sack them off and we'll do this AI thing instead. And unfortunately, unless there's some massive worldwide uprising that is responsible for the redistribution of wealth, I think we're fucked.
Yeah.
And it's a really scary thing to look into. Like there was even a tweet, no, I'm never going to say an X because fuck that guy, but it was a tweet. Someone said the other day to Musk, and it was if AI is replacing all these low-level workers, how are all these low-level workers going to eat?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, yeah, universal basic income, which I'm all for. I think the concept of universal basic income.
As long as it's universal, not just like in America.
Yeah, real
World Series, it's like, well, you guys, it's just baseball, it's just you.
We win the world again.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, universal basic income will do it. And then people were like, bullshit. Like, there's absolutely no way you guys are going to like club together, especially with the government being as wrecked as it is in the United States. They go, oh, yeah, we've got all these extra hundreds of billions of dollars. What are we going to do? I know, we'll give everybody a nice little bit of income, make their lives a bit more stable. Where, they'd rather take some whisper in their ear to go, hey, you want another yacht?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, actually, the yacht does sound better than housing 20,000 people.
Such a shame, though, isn't it? Because,
Go on.
OpenAI, I've learned recently that OpenAI had thousands of employees.
Yeah.
Now they've got 100 employees,
Yeah.
right? Because basically they're getting AI to code itself, which sounds like a great idea, like, that's going to end really well. But the reduction is part of the business plan. It's like we remove the engineers, high cost labor, and we start to get it to the point where it can be the engineer that is engineering itself.
Yeah,
that sounds exceptionally dangerous.
Yeah,
let's just go with that. And then you go, okay, so those people are now not earning money, and therefore they're now not able to pay tax. So then all the governments that would have otherwise got X amount of tax for their GDP are now suddenly suffering. And then before you know it, you've got the autocracy, we've got capitalist autocracy, where businesses own land and businesses own...
The United States government has just bought 10% of Intel.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's like anti-socialism, but sort of socialism. It's a little bit of socialism just on this side.
Those socialists, China. It's like, but isn't this exactly the same? No.
Let's be anti-big government. Oh, but maybe I like a bit of the government. It's just like, I think America's whole problem at the moment is just down to sunken cost fallacy. I think so many people have just been like, I'm going to support this guy. And they've been like that for so long, and their entire community around them is all supporting in the same way. So if someone goes, oh, actually has that light go off in their head and go, oh no, this is crazy. What's going on? Like, why are we supporting this like lunatic who has no idea of how to run anything? But all my family are all deeply MAGA, and all my neighbours and all my community and all my friends. I just stay in. Stay in for now.
I find it's almost like a mass social experiment, right? Like in the sense,
like a Black Mirror.
It is, yeah. I read recently that there was a guy from the CERN Hydra Collider facility that was like, all the crazy shit that's happened in the world kind of lines up to when we first smashed two things together. He's like, I wonder if we broke our own reality and we've all shifted into this like other reality, which created COVID and like idiocracy, basically.
Yeah, oh my God.
Like all we need now is just for... Well, actually, Donald Trump was in the WWE, wasn't he?
I honestly think that the president in Idiocracy is more capable than the genuine president. Because what he did in Idiocracy was find the smartest man in the world and get him to solve the actual food crisis that they had in real solutions.
What, putting water on now?
Putting water, not Brondo.
Yeah.
Grows in the toilet. So he got the actual intelligence, and he didn't just go, oh no, somebody who was like a blogger or something, I can't remember. Like, let's put him in charge of these like massive government organizations that have no concept of like, oh God, it's so... I think about it and I get so frustrated. It's just this massive... Obviously, it's a cult. And it's just crazy to see so many people like ingrained into it. And unfortunately, is flowing around the world. We've got the same problem now with reform.
Like,
And the worst thing is, they're going to get in.
I just can't believe that. Like, I don't want to live in a world where you look at Nigel Farage, a picture of Nigel Farage, right, and go, he looks like the kind of man that's got everyone's best interests at heart.
I've been in meetings with Michael Farage, and I hate him. I've not got a single good word to say about it. And unfortunately, I can't talk about those meetings, but he's been present. And yeah, I don't have anything good to say about the man. But the problem is, we had 14 years of Tory austerity, and it was proven time after time that that doesn't work. Then Labour come in, they have an opportunity that, Starmer comes in and he's like, okay, what we're going to do now? Let's cut funding for the elderly, and get rid of all of their, heating budget. And like, whoa, hold up, wait.
I thought you were the left.
Yeah, Labour are acting like the Tories with a red rosette. And I look back at the last 18 months of the Labour getting in, and I can't physically think of a good thing that they've done. I remember a lot of crazy bullshit, but the problem is now everybody's going, well, the Tories aren't capable of doing it. Labour's not capable of doing it. Who have we got left? And that's unfortunately, I would put money on it now that Reform are going to build. We'll go in the next election.
I just can't. I think I would actually. This is the one that I'd have to leave the country.
Yeah,
I find it nuts. Right. There's a small village near where I live, and my son goes to nursery there. And this week, for the first time, I've driven there, and all of a sudden, there are St George's crosses on.
Was just going to mention that. I saw them outside my house.
Yeah.
Like today, for the first time.
On roundabouts, on thing. And now, I am not like an anti-nationalist in the sense that it's like, that is our flag. And, I'm proud to be British.
But what do you associate that flag with? Is it football or hooliganism?
I actually, interestingly, I associate that flag with the Knights Templar.
Right, okay.
Out of all of them.
Different angle.
Different angle, not football hooliganism. Obviously we've got the Union Jack, which is the collection of the United Kingdom, which is and the St George's Cross, the guy fought a dragon, whatever, loads of stuff that could be associated with it. The only problem that I've got with this is the intention behind it, because it's like, I would not care at all if someone was walking around with a St George's Cross on their t-shirt, and they were like, I'm just proud to be British, and they were reasonable, and that's okay. You can be proud to be where you're from. That's fine. But it's when it starts to edge into the poison rhetoric that we've all been poisoned to, all been tried to be poisoned at least to believe. And it's coming back to exactly what you say. It's like the non-reasonable versus the trying to at least understand something so that we can try and reason it.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that there's a system in place globally that can actually prevent this. And at one point, I thought that maybe this AI has already gone to the singularity, and all it's been doing is just going, fuck you guys, fuck you guys. Hey, want to try this? You guys think different things. Because, for all I know, right, when I open up the news on my phone and I go, duh, 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 it could be written a certain way to assuade me of something.
And it is.
And for you, because of your difference in what you look at, it writes it in another different way.
I remember the... I can't remember if it was government elections or if it was Brexit. I think it was just post-Brexit. We had a government election, so 5 years ago, something like that. I was speaking to my dad, and he was talking about all of these anti-Labour things. Because my parents have flip-flopped between Labour and Tory their entire life, partially based on news, partially based on self-interest, things you would expect, right? And I was talking to him about something, and he went, yeah, but what about this thing? I was like, what thing are you on about? And he goes, yeah, this thing, I read about it on Facebook. So we went and booted up his Facebook and looked down this thing, and there was so much misinformation and lies and like false narrative. And I was like, well, that news story is not true. And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, okay, well, bring up Snopes and do a fake news story check. Da-da-da. Yeah, this is proven not to be true. Da-da-da. And then he was like, yeah, but I read something that all of the Labour adverts are actually lying. And then you can bring up these independent studies. It said, okay, well, yeah, it was shown that 11% of Labour's claims were potentially misinformation, but like marginally. Like they say that they're going to put X million in something, but it's actually X million minus 2 million, whatever. Small things. But 85% of the Tory adverts and promises were like blatant lies. But he's so in the target demographic. It goes 65-year-old guy, lives in a predominantly white middle class suburb. Perfect. Let's push the narrative. And unfortunately, those narratives are controlled by people who don't have our best interests in heart. Their best interest is to separate everybody and keep us focused here rather than releasing the Epstein list.
Yeah. Let's do that in a second. I need to take a break because I need a wee.
Yeah, all good.
We'll jump. Welcome back. Sorry for that.
Yeah, it's all right. We got there.
When your bladder just is so full that you're like, I'm now so uncomfortable that I don't think I can speak.
Yeah. We're at that age that it takes control. I've got a walnut bladder, thanks to my father. But my 4 a.m. I'm up.
Oh, really?
I've no choice.
Every morning?
Every day.
Wow.
Get up. Dog comes downstairs with me because she sleeps on the bed, and then come back and the dog comes back up with me. And that's it. Yeah. But it has full control.
Nice. Yeah, it does. Bodily functions. Out of our control. Minus liquid intake, I guess, reduced control. But we were in a place which is out of our control as well, right? Which is disparity, AI, your belief that AI is actually probably more likely than my dream of a benevolent future for it to be actually used for more harm.
I mean, what the world could become an amazing place if all the money and the technology was used in a way for the betterment of every individual rather than the betterment of 10.
Yeah.
But
do you think that we are already in a society that, because of the fact that we're so integrated with technology and the way that we consume all information, because we were talking about Labour's polls of transparency and truth versus the Conservatives' polls of transparency and truth, 85-11%, right? Yeah. So do you think, though, that we live in a environment or simulation theory, we're not going to go that, whereby nothing's actually true at all, and that all of it has so little grounding and basis in what is tangibly real, that it's all just created as a way of keeping people compliant, keeping people doing the day-to-day.
I think an information singularity has already occurred.
Yeah.
And I think we're past that point and Pandora's box has opened. And misinformation, I would think, is like more ripe than not. In when you try to find the truth of a matter, it's sometimes really difficult. So a lot of the stuff that I did at certain organizations in the military were AI-powered data extraction. So fundamentally speaking, how can you use unbelievable quantities of data to find people and things? Right? So most people are probably unaware that every single, let's say, ATM and traffic stop in the UK, with the right access, you can get all the audio footage and all the camera footage from all of those things, right? Let alone everybody's mobile phone in the world. So if you want to find someone, they're pretty easy to find if you know what to do. Everybody's voice has an individualistic presence that you can pick up, right? Everybody's gait, the way you walk, is identifiable. Terrorists in airports put thumbtacks in their shoes to throw off the way they walk, because often the way they walk is recorded and you can use AI to pick them out of a crowd in an airport. So they put a thumbtack in their shoe to throw off their hobble.
Wow.
Right? Finding people is easy. And this is a thing that is like funny about it is like this week, YouTube, the thing that I'm obviously very, very aware of everything that's going on in YouTube at the moment, but they've introduced AI verification for adults. There's this UK thing that's like protection of kids on what they can do online. So YouTube is now using AI to determine whether or not it believes an individual is an adult or not. And if it doesn't think that they're adult, they have to verify themselves in some way. And that could be through uploading of an ID, by showing their face and like doing a thing where you take some photos of your face and it estimates your age based on your face, right, or providing a 1 pence payment on a credit card. So all these people are like, overreach, I'm never giving my ID to Google. And the problem is Google already knows way, way, way more about you than you have any concept of. It's not just about whether or not you give your ID or your face to it. Like they're worried, like, oh, I've watched some Roblox videos, so it's going to think I'm a child. It's like, well, unless you've only been searching for Roblox videos for your entirety of the time of every single Google service you've ever used, it's probably not going to be the case. And you know, the information that a company like Google, the identifying information it has on you, is like kind of terrifying. And you can go on to Google and you can see all the stuff it knows about you. It'll tell you in the right pages, let alone, you know, the amount of people have said, oh, have you ever seen, they were like, oh, I was at a pub the other week, I can't remember which one. I was like, just look it up on your timeline. I'm like, what? I was like, yeah, get out your phone, go onto Google Maps, go into your timeline and go back and trace everywhere that you've been.
And it literally follows you, doesn't it?
And it literally follows you. And they're like, what the hell? Like, where is this? And there's like, they don't realize it's always on unless you've like actively turned it off. And even if you've actively turned it off, you haven't. You just don't see that it's on.
We were still pinging cell towers, right?
Yeah, you're still hitting everything. But it's kind of like they have all this information and people think that it's like overreach, but it's, you know, the reality is, you know, it's not YouTube's fault that they've had to incorporate all this. It's the UK government, and I think Australia's government is doing it as well for like this protection of kids stuff. But you know,
but they were getting the data before they were forced to implement things to protect kids. Right?
Yeah.
Like I personally, I don't really have much bad words to say about Google. They're kind of like exactly what you'd imagine a company to be if they were going to give something away for free. There's that trope, isn't there? It's like, if something's free, then you're the product.
You're the product, yeah.
Like, and that's like, I'm okay with that.
One of the funniest things about Google is that obviously when they first started, their slogan was "Don't be evil."
That still is, isn't it? On there,
no,
is it not?
No, there's a very amusing video of a guy taking the "Don't be evil" sign down off the Google and onto their logo as you enter their offices in California.
Just don't.
But that's the thing, he removed that first, so someone's got the photograph of this thing, Google, like be evil. It's like, yeah, and that's the thing, you know, there's so much information out there about everybody, and you know, people are worried. That the point I was going to make about that is, people are worried about, oh my God, I don't want the government to know anything about, I don't want this company to know anything about me. Not only do they know everything about you already, they don't care.
Yeah.
Like, we are, for the most part, all large, insignificant pieces of data that are used to drive algorithms to sell adverts to make money. And unless you're planning on blowing up a school, you know, and you're actively talking about it all the time online, nobody gives a crap who you are.
To be honest, I would actually, I prefer that they've got enough data that if someone is talking about blowing up a school, that someone can stop them. Like, if we can have precogs, like from Minority Report, if we can have precogs, great. Like, because I would prefer to live in a society where children didn't get shot at school. Like, shoot me if you know.
No, I don't know about the precogs thing.
Why?
Would you want to arrest somebody for something they haven't done?
What, thought crimes?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what we're talking about here isn't thought crimes. What this is you're effectively building the narrative that's going to create the crime, right? So if, like, as a reasonable person, if you're looking up like how to make napalm, like how to
dispose of a body,
like where can I get, like, and your Amazon order history is like big barrels and stuff. Like, I would prefer that you get dealt with early, you know, before 20 years goes down the line and they're like, oh, we finally caught the serial killer that we didn't know we had, right? Like, I'd prefer that. But obviously there are ways around that as well. People use VPNs and all the sort of myriad of virtual computers logging in from different, so like going cookie crumb, and just as good as the good guys. I'm going to say that in inverted commas because I don't believe that the institutions are necessarily benevolently good. So, you know, the good guys. There are good people in obviously law enforcement and all of that stuff, but they've got just as many tools as the people who are trying to evade them from evading them. But for us, the general public, it's kind of like, if someone is going to have those thoughts and they're not like organized crime and not able to evade all of that, then deal with them. Fine. I'm happy for you to have. I'm happy for me to mention fishing rods in a car and to turn up to my location and see adverts for fishing rods and know that, it was listening to my conversation, it heard the word fishing rod, and now it's trying to sell me a fishing rod. I don't need to buy a fishing rod. You know, I'm happy for that. I don't care. Like, it's my choice.
That's all we are, though. We're like personalized data points. And that's genuinely, I think, what the majority of companies care about is like, you know, what can they then do to sell the right advert to the right person to make themselves a profit, a potential fragment of that sale. That's it. It's all and like, the problem is when that is then used nefariously, and it is then, you know, either truth, maybe that information is true and you're a bad person and should be dealt with, but maybe that information is misaligned, you know, or misconstrued, and like, then the narrative can be put on a person that doesn't necessarily apply. Like, you take what's going on in America now and the complete removal of due process. You know, they've deported dozens of genuine American citizens because they have no due process. And then it's like going, oh well, it's like that the Family Guy thing where he holds up the palette, goes, well, what shade of skin is this person? You're slightly brown. Off you go.
Get out.
And it's just like, what the hell, right? And, you know, so then they try to build these narratives of like the guy with the MS-13 tattoo on his fingers, which was photoshopped. And it was like,
who was this?
Was it Carlos something? So they got deported to a Guatemalan or Venezuelan prison or something like that.
And then lots of people were basically saying that they stood with him, right?
And he had pictures of 4 things on his fingers. And it was like a skull and a marijuana leaf, a skull, and 2 other things. And then they were like, the American Republicans were like, those 4 tattoos mean MS-13, like M for marijuana, S for skull. And then the other 2 were like really tenuous. So what had happened, they'd got a photograph of his hand with the pictures on, and someone had, to demonstrate this point, in Times New Roman, put MS-13 above it. And Trump's holding this picture up going like, look, he's got MS-13 tattooed on his fingers. People are like, no, that's like a label on a picture. They're like, no, it's a tattoo. What do you mean? And like, now people are doing this. He's got all this bruising on the back of his hands, which hopefully means he's going to die soon. But people are photoshopping MS-13 onto this bruising on the back and like, he's in MS-13. Like, people who are in MS-13 don't try and hide it with little hidden things. They have MS-13 in big letters on their face and on their chest. Like, they're not scared of being in this like worldwide renowned gang. It's just, but that's the thing. It's like, misinformation is like so much more damaging, you know, than anything else. And I think if you bring it all back to this thing that we're talking about people's place in the world and their identity, like, now everyone has to fear not only who they actually are and the things they actually are trying to put out in the world, but also the perception of them. like rightly or wrongly. Maybe I spend my entire life trying to be this one person, then someone writes a news article erroneously about me doing something, or someone else has the same name as me and does something, and that gets us accredited to me.
Yeah.
And then that like brutalizes your life.
Do you think there's a needless worry about it though? In the sense that it's like, of course, like I could live any life I want, right? But ultimately, if I went to church every day, right? So say I'm all of a sudden converted Christian,
Yeah.
and I'm going to church all the time. My dream is to become a pastor,
Yeah.
right? And maybe one day I might become the cleric or whatever it is. Like, isn't a cleric just a guy with a big face or something? But someone could go, okay, I don't like what he's doing because he stands for something, and he's standing for spirit, or he's standing for the goodness in people, and I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create these false records of his search history or of his internet. I'm going to create this profile basically, and I'm going to attribute that to him instead of his current one, which is like YouTube searching like praise videos, whatever it is. And that, like, there's nothing I can do about that, right? So there's no point in me going, well, I can't do anything because everything could happen. Yeah. And I guess the only thing that we can do in that regard is just try and be as good as possible. Try and live our most honest, and like, because this is why I like what you're doing with Garage Tinkering, and why I like the slogan that you've got written on your back. Yeah, is because what you're doing is you're trying to make available information in a positive way. To people who would like to understand it. And you might get some negative comments, and that might stick with you. My bigger fear, though, is like I said, I felt like the first 35, 37 years of my life, I probably wasn't the greatest person. And I have caused damage to people's lives in a multitude of ways. I won't say not because of my own fault, because it was my own fault. But now, as I get more and more well-known, my big fear is that I've put all this effort in over the last 5 years to absolutely redefine who I am internally, externally, and truthfully. And like, I now feel like the most genuine version of myself that I've ever been. But there's all this stuff, right? And there's all these 35 years of bad relationships and like resentment that people may have towards me. And the only fear I have with that now is suddenly someone going, oh, this guy, he's stopped doing cosplay because of X, Y, and Z, or he stopped doing this because of X, Y, and Z. Now he's doing this new thing, and it's a lie and a sham, and that's circulating for no reason, and them not having seen the journey over the last 5 years. Yeah, because they were a part of it, and then they weren't. So when my partner left, and I like got sober, I basically cut out 90% of the people in my life, because I met my ex through cosplay. We were very like entwined in that together. All of our friends were through that, and then because the breakup was inherently my fault, I had an alcohol problem. I was like acting poorly because of that. I was kind of like, okay, it's time for me to kind of move on and do something different. And I basically cut all those relationships out of my life. I removed everybody from all my social media. I stopped making costumes. I stopped going to conventions. I was just like, okay, you can have all of those people. And fortunately, at that point in time, one of my closest friends, James, had a birthday about 2 or 3 months later that I went to. And he told some people that I was coming. I'd not met most of these people before. And so I met them as a newly sober person on a new journey. And they accepted me as that person, and they never knew any other version of me. So they've only ever known this like version that's on a journey of growth and self-betterment, and that's all they've ever seen of me. And I hope that's all they ever see of me. My partner, for example, I met Ali 4 years ago. She's never seen a shit version of me, and she never will. Fingers crossed, right? And she'll never see that self-destructive version of me.
So she has no bearing for that. And it's just, it was difficult, obviously, you upheave your life like that. And especially then you're going through these really difficult things and you're trying to do it alone because you've got rid of everybody. Not that I ever really felt that I had a support network, which is maybe what part of the problem is or was. Now I feel like I have that support network. I have people I can lean on and people who lean on me, and I feel much better for that. I have positive like male friends. Like, it's so often that like guys, like, they butt heads, like they're all trying to be the alpha or whatever bullshit they're trying to come up with, but we're all so like positive with each other and help one another, and it's a great thing to feel. But the problem is now I'm like the dad of the friend group. Like, my partner's 9 years younger than me, so she's like early 30s, and all of her friends are the same age. So I've come in like 10 years older, and like I'm like, having gone through the 30s already, I'm like, don't worry, it's all going to be good. And like, feel sometimes like the dad, like the sober dad of the group. They're all still going through that learning process. And it's interesting, having over the last 3 and a bit years found my place within that group of people as well. But
while maintaining your like close circle, right?
Yeah, so it's a new close circle. And it's funny, like they were the biggest help of me moving forwards outside of therapy, because of one day. I think you'll appreciate this. I was going through this thing, and then I was going through the breakup. I was like, I kind of wasn't knowing how to handle things, and I was, starting on this journey. And they went, okay, well, we're going to accept you into this group, and to celebrate, we're going to go camping. So we'll all go camping, and we'll take some magic mushrooms and sit under a tree and have a lovely time.
Perfect. Yeah.
Groovy. So we went along, and they went, oh, Andy's sober. We'll let him hold on to all of the mushrooms and they can distribute them. Stupid idea. So someone came up to me a few hours into this camping trip and went, Andy, where's the mushroom on the back? Apparently, I took like 6.5 grams of mushrooms, and then gave some out to a load of other people, then had another 4 grams. So basically what my friend describes as a shaman dose. And I sat underneath a tree watching everything become triangles in the whole world. And like, became my mantra for a while, that everything is made of triangles. And I saw the faces in the trees, and I connected with nature. And I sat underneath this tree listening to Pink Floyd, which I suddenly understood for the first time in my entire life. And like listening to Shine On You Crazy Diamond. And like, I was like, there's a saxophone solo coming up in a minute and I'm not prepared for it. I was wearing my sunglasses, and I was doing 3D modeling as a career at the time. So I used Blender every day, and I was like, I'm trapped in Blender, and I can see the vertices and I can see the edges of everything. Yeah. And I'm just tripping hard for like 4 hours, crying underneath this tree. And I'm pretty sure that one song was on repeat for 4. It probably wasn't, but laughing my ass off. And then I had a huge cry, and I was lying on my back, and my mate, who's the guitarist in my band, he's like, Andy, have you eaten? I was like, no. And he's like, have this. And he popped a bit of hot halloumi in my mouth, and I almost died. So I was like, my body can only concentrate on breathing right now, let alone hot consuming food. But we had this thing, and I was like, I felt like I was trapped in this thing. I had all these woes and troubles, and I was like, I just needed to sit and cry and just let this thing out. And as I did, this group of people just appeared and just like enveloped me in these hugs. And I was just like the safest I had ever felt. And I felt like I was allowed to cry and let all this stuff out without fear of judgment from these fundamentally strangers. I'd met them 2 or 3 times at this point. And just to feel that level of genuine warmth from people, like, was a defining moment. And I was like, okay. And then I remember it was starting to get dark into the evening, and I took these sunglasses off, and suddenly everything's brighter again. And I suddenly like felt like I was out of the trip, but just by taking the sunglasses off. So I decided that all my troubles and all my woes and my fears and doubts, I was going to leave them in those sunglasses. So I folded the sunglasses up and buried them under the tree, and I left them there. And I left that field the next day, and my life changed. Like I felt genuinely like I just left all that shit there, and then just was like, okay, it's happened, it's been a thing, it's affected me, but if I let it, it'll affect me negatively forever.
Yeah.
But by leaving it there and moving forwards, then I can move forwards and I can change my life in a positive way. Yeah, like I got home and I concentrated on the business that I was running at the time, and like the positive steps forwards that I wanted to make, and like doubling down the effort in getting fit and going to the gym, eating well, and I just got home and just everything had switched. And the fear for me, only fear I have now, is going back to that campsite and like finding the stuff under the tree.
Now,
So
I guess like symbolically, you bottled everything up into those sunglasses and shoved it there. But
oh yeah,
like reality wise, it's like it's always still with you. It's always just like alcohol.
yeah.
It's just you just choose not to. It's a choice.
It's funny now, the alcohol thing just switched entirely.
Yeah.
I like for a year I couldn't have alcohol in the house
Mm-hmm.
because I would drink it. And now we've got alcohol in the house. I don't even think about it. And I have the opposite anxiety that I used to have. I have like anxiety dreams where I've drunk or I've accidentally taken a load of drugs.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not quite in control of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like I adore the version of me that I am now, and the way that I feel day to day.
Yeah.
And I fear that by being drunk or by being high or whatever it might be, that I lose that sense of self, and I revert to being some version of me that I dislike.
It's an awesome reason to stay sober.
Yeah. And you literally could not pay me to drink now. And so I have no problem about it. And the biggest thing is spending time going out into town and stuff with people who drink. Because if you ever wanted a motivator not to drink, drunk people is the one.
Oh, yeah.
They're terrible.
So just, I want to come back a little bit, not too far. And I'm also conscious of the fact that I don't want you, like, if any of this is you don't want to talk about,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
fine. But you mentioned earlier that there was a fear of what you're doing now, that someone in your past life might come back and say, oh, well, it's all
Sort of fake.
It's all fake.
Yeah.
Even though, with everything, there is journeys that are creating. And actually, when you look at garage tinkering and you listen to your life in terms of what you were interested in as a child and how that's all come up, it all makes total sense to me, as did cosplay.
Yeah.
Cosplay made total sense. Music makes total sense.
Yeah.
Like UI UX makes total sense because it's all feeding the same thing, which is logical, process-driven creativity and art.
Yeah, whilst remaining the centre of attention.
Yeah. Well, because you're responsible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the centre of attention is to be responsible, whether that's responsible for encapsulating a moment and creating that encapsulated moment as something perceived by an audience, or whether it's encapsulating something that is amazing that people can go, man, this guy's really nailed this. Like, who is he? Like, it's still the same thing. But I just wonder, because I think we could probably take the sting out of that, in the sense of like, what got you into cosplay?
I had a friend at the time, and he was like, oh God, this must have been 2013, something like that. And he was like, I'm going to go to Comic-Con. Do you want to go? You're a nerd.
It's cool, isn't it, Comic-Con?
It was fun. Yeah. So I couldn't imagine going to Comic-Con and not like wearing an outfit. And like, where, everyone goes to Comic-Con, they wear dress as a character they like. I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? And my partner at the time used to do a lot of sewing. She used to make toys and things. So I was like, okay, well, can you teach me to sew? Okay, she's teaching me to sew. And I made a Ezio Assassin's Creed outfit. Okay. Super cool. First thing I made. And then the feeling that you get over like 200 hours of learning a new skill, to take this pile of red and white material, and then suddenly 2 months later you're wearing this outfit, and suddenly you're looking at the fake leather gauntlets that you've made and gone, should make them in real leather, that'd be better. And then you strip them off, and then you figure out leather work for the first time, and tooling, and like burnishing and waxing and all this kind of fun stuff that comes with leather. Leather became my forte in the end with cosplay, but and then being like, oh my god, and putting it on and be like, whoa, I've done this thing. That, I think, has always been one of my big drivers, is that like the ability to stand back and look at something you've done and be like proud of yourself, to be able to go, 2 months ago I had no concept about how to do this thing, and now I've learned how to do this thing. And then with what I liked about cosplay is it encapsulates your ability to do such a broad range of skills. So, you know, fabric craft, making like a pair of trousers or a jacket or whatever it might be, leather work. It's where I first got into Arduino programming to make lights and things. So I did like some official stuff for CG Project Red doing cyberpunk stuff. So I had like light up collars and like guns that flash, and then 3D modeling came as part of that. You know, the first I was making a Witcher costume, which again I did some promo stuff with, but and I needed swords for the Witcher costume, so I 3D modeled a couple of the swords. I was like, oh, other people make Witcher costumes, maybe they'll like these swords. So I put them on Thingiverse, which is like a 3D modeling website. You can download 3D models. And then I went back 3 months later and it's got 2,000 downloads. I was like, oh, okay, cool, people like this. So someone kept sending me messages saying, could you make this gun or something? I can't remember what it was. So like, yeah, I could have a go at that. So I made this gun and sold him the model for 20 quid or something like. I was like, do you mind if I put it on the website? I was like, yeah, sure. So I put it on the website for a $5 to download. Just keeps getting. Oh, it was Ace of Spades from Destiny.
Destiny 2.
Yeah, really popular gun from Destiny. Loads of people kept downloading that, so I started doing more and more and more of that. That's how I ended up doing a 3D modeling cosplay company. Because again, it was just like empowering other people to make things really cool that they couldn't necessarily do without that assistance. Or, you know, who wants to spend 2,000 hours learning the basics of Blender in order to make something that they're going to make maybe one prop with?
Yeah.
Whereas I got really good at it and I was pumping out 20 props a month kind of thing. And
so people could just contact you and be like, I'd like this, and you'd be like, yeah.
It was more that I would make stuff that I wanted to make, or that was like hot topic. So like the Loki series came out. Yeah. So suddenly I make all the crowns, all of the guns, all of the swords, all of the everything, because you can tell when the series comes out, there's going to be thousands of people who want to cosplay from the series, and they all want the TMA, the Tempad, and they all want the crowns, and they're on the store, they're on Etsy, and you just sell thousands and thousands and thousands. And the craziest one was always Men in Black. So I made the Noisy Cricket and the Flasher thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them I've sold over the years, tens of thousands.
Still sell them?
Halloween, like September and early October, I reckon 20 a day gets sold from the website. Crazy. And at the end, the two that are the biggest ones, which are really weird, is I have the Book of the Dead from The Mummy with the key. So I've made a key that you can twist and it pops open, and you can put it in the lock of the book front of the cover and turn it, and the book unlocks. And all of the pages inside are all accurate to the film and everything. So I did that, and they still sell really well for a 25-year-old franchise. And then, do you remember Batteries Not Included? Old Spielberg film from the 80s about a load of like little flying robot aliens that come to help a 50s diner. Mm-hmm. So those,
I don't think I remember it,
okay.
But please carry on.
There's these 3 baby robots and 2 mama robots, and they're like little UFO-shaped things.
Yeah.
They go by the dozen, countless of some. It's like a 45-year-old franchise at this point. And it's like people are still obsessed with it. But I'm the only one who's ever made good versions of those 2 props.
So what about that would give you fear that someone from that world might come along?
It's not about that. It's about the shit that I've had with people over those, the arguments that I've had with people, the one time that someone misconstrued something that I said during a competition. I was in a competition and all the people that made the finals were female, and I commented on that. People were like, "Sexist," they're like completely wrong. But you know, they just, people love a drama.
Can you not be forgiven for maybe saying something that some people might construe as sexist, but actually when your intention is just like, hey, can you see that I'm the only man here? Like,
not according to the 4chan hate threads about me.
Oh, right.
Which exist.
They've got 4chan hate threads.
Well, they did 12 years ago.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because the thing is, I went to that first Comic-Con as Ezio, and then I went to the second Comic-Con, and I did a Commander Shepard armor suit.
I remember all these things that you're talking about.
I went and I entered the competition for the first time, and I won it. And then next year I entered the UK national competition, and I won it. And by that point, I was getting invited to go to Comic-Cons as a cosplayer and like have a booth and sign things. So I'd come out from like having never sewn an item in my life, and 7 months later, I'm a guest at Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
And I think it almost sometimes feels like my ability to pick things up quickly is sometimes perceived by others as a burden, because not a burden, but like they're jealous of it, because why have they not been able to pick it up so quickly and get invited to go to conventions for free? And then like a year down the road, I'm going all over the world. I did like in 1 3-month period, I did a convention in Norway, then one in the Czech Republic, then one Italy, and then like, and I'm getting all these opportunities, and people think it's like undeserved. And sometimes to me, it feels like it is. And it was, but it's just like, we were talking about this earlier. It's like, I think my innate ability now, if anything, is to figure out how to do something quite quickly, then understand it at a deeper level, and then be able to relay that information onto people who have no understanding of it in a way that they will then be able to understand it and learn it. So like what I do now is take quite complex electronical engineering, user interface design, user experience design principles, PCB design, all that kind of stuff. And then I repackage it and present it in a way that somebody who's got a passing interest in it can sit down, be interested about it in like an entertaining way, but also learn something. And by the time they get to the end of the video, I hope that they go, "Oh yeah, I get it now." Like I had one that I was talking about canvas sniffing. So going into your car, listening to all the data that's coming out of your ECU, and then translating what that information means in a real way. And it's all hexadecimal data. So people just see these AF that moves through to 04 and they're not really understanding what it means. And I had a segment in the middle, which was like a 4-minute breakdown of what hexadecimal means, how you translate it to binary, how you translate that then to decimal numbers, and how that translates to your car. So you put your foot on the accelerator and it goes from 00 to FF.
Yeah.
Right? And people are like, well, what's that mean? So I broke that down, how that translates and how that translates to real numbers. And then the amount of comments on that video, there were people like, I've just done a 4-year computing degree, and that's by far the best explanation of hexadecimal, like numeric, like how it works and what it means that I've ever seen. And like one guy was like, I've showed this to my lecturer and he says he's going to use it in his presentations from now on to explain what hex is. And it's just like, I don't necessarily understand hex better than anybody else, but I can package it in a way that I think people like and understand. And like, I don't pretend to be an expert in the stuff that I'm producing now. Like, I'm making electronic car content because one video I made 9 months ago about doing it for the first time blew up. I now don't consider it blowing up by my current standards, but it got like 10,000 views in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And when my videos were only doing 100 views in 2 weeks at that point. And then I just doubled down on that. And so everything that I do now, I've learned in the last 9 or 10 months. But I can understand it well because I have a background in similar stuff.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, programming, mathematics. But it's all links into the same thing.
Yeah.
So I can understand it very well and then put it in a way that the layman can understand. And I think that's the thing that has made my channel become reasonably popular. I mean, you know, I'm still nowhere near where I want to be, but reasonably popular in the last year is that, you know, people who have a passing interest in like Canvas or digital dashboards can see this video and then go and watch it through for 30 minutes and at the end go, oh, maybe I can actually go out and build my own digital dashboard. Maybe it's not that hard. Maybe if I go back and watch some of his other videos, I'll understand the various sections that one has to put together in order to make something really good.
I mean, I have to be honest, even as someone who has had no desire to get involved in my car's electrics, watching your videos yesterday it had me with my car door off.
Yeah.
The inside card of my door.
Yeah.
I'd got it off. I was going through. I'd gone underneath the thing. I was like, as I said, I was trying to fix my speaker problem,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, actually, because you were explaining it so like effortlessly, really, and like so casually, I guess.
Yeah.
I was like, well, it can't be that complicated then, can it? I mean,
It's not.
It's pretty complicated in the sense that it's like there's a lot of cables, but all those cables have a job to do, and you can actually find where they all go.
With a speaker, you're just looking for a red one and a white one.
Yeah,
That's all you care about. Yeah.
So, but they're all always loomed together, and they're like bound and stuff, but it had me doing that, and like bearing in mind that is something I've had that car now for 2 years, and I've thought I should take this to a shop and get someone to fix it.
Yeah.
For 2 years, but to the point where I'm like, I don't listen to music in my car anymore. I listen to podcasts because what's the point in listening to music if I can't hear the right hand side of it?
Yeah.
You know, so I listen to just talking stuff in my car.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm now determined to get an understanding of what's going on. It led me down the path of looking at that box that I was going to put in my car.
Nifty City.
The Nifty City box. Yeah. And it led me down this path that was like all of a sudden, and it was just from watching a couple of your videos, right? And I think that's a really valuable thing, because as a layman, like a total layman, and a professed, like probably never would have even thought I could ever, like I take my car to the garage to get it fixed, right?
Yeah.
I've currently got an airbag light on, and I was like,
be a resistor, probably.
It's a sensor. It's an impact sensor in my passenger side door. And the reason why I know that is because I was like, well, same thing, same day, yesterday. I was like, well, I might as well have a look and see where these sensors are. I looked at where the sensors are and then saw that one of them was just full of rust. And I was like, well, there we go. Yeah. Can I find the part online? No, but that's a whole other thing.
You'd probably just remove that sensor, put the right size resistor in there, and your light will go off.
Oh, perfect.
But
all right, yeah, cool. Well, I've got to pass an MOT in a few
I'll get you through an MOT.
So, but yeah, I think that's where it's incredibly valuable, and I think that's where your mindset as well is incredibly beneficial to people who might not be thinking that they want to put a new PCB board in their car and change their speedometer to a unique disc.
Need for speed kitty.
You know?
It's all about the need for speed kitties.
Yeah.
It's funny, right? I hate the term influencer, right? And unfortunately, my next door neighbor knows this, and he's currently dating, and every now and again he'll pass, like I'm on the drive working on my car, and he'll introduce me to somebody and be like, "This is Andy, he's the local influencer." I'm like, "Fuck off, Sam." I like content creator. I consider myself a content creator, but I don't like the term influencer, but I get it. So, you know, the amount of people who have come on and said, "Oh, I wasn't going to try this," or, you know, you've suddenly sparked an interest in something. I think that's a beautiful thing, to be able to me just talking about something that I'm interested in, and someone else coming along and go, "I was not interested in that thing, but I've listened to you talk about it for half an hour, and now I'm interested in that thing, and I want to know more." And I think that's the thing. A lot of what I do is a rabbit hole. I wasn't interested in it. Like, I started this channel in order to make Top Gear-esque car content with some creative stuff.
Hold up.
Right.
Hold up. Your first video was an ASMR video.
It wasn't.
Was
There
it
was a bunch of stuff before that I got deleted because when I changed the channel direction.
Okay,
So
right.
it might have been the first video. Yeah. So the first video was me creating Alcantara door cards for my 350Z. But I didn't want to have to explain it all. So my partner, Alice, is a videographer. So I was like, you take the camera. I'm going to do this thing, put the shotgun mic on, get all the noises of the sewing machine and like rubbing your hand on this 200 pound a meter super expensive material. And people will like it. But the problem is it takes so long to film. Like that video took us 4 days, like evenings, to film and then put together, and it looked fantastic. I was like, I want to do this. I was like, it takes 2 people. It takes like, I don't know, 60 hours to make one video. I mean, my videos still take 20, 40 hours to make each one, sometimes more. But it ended up, it was never going to be sustainable, not to do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, I want to make some underglow for my car because it's a 350Z. It's got to have underglow. It's like the law. And I was like, well, maybe I can just make it myself out of some addressable LEDs and an Arduino. And I'd done a bit of Arduino programming through cosplaying. So I'd made like lights for cyberpunk things. And so I had some experience doing that. And I was like, well, what I need to do is build a thing that connects to some underglow under my car, and I can make my own app really quickly. There's a thing called the MIT app something or other. I can't remember what it's called. But it's basically almost a drag and drop builder that you then just, associate click commands to Bluetooth messaging that then talks to the Arduino and changes the color. And it was like really simple. And then, that kind of like picked up. I was like, okay, well, maybe it's a fluke. I'll try making another one related to that series. I was like, yep, that's done well as well. Okay. And I'll try the next one. And like, maybe I'll pull in some of my web applications. So like the majority of my life's career, I ended up doing front end UI development. Mm-hmm. And then later, and I was like a head of user experience because after I did my PhD in user experience for small screens, I migrated. I wanted to get out of programming because the problem was being a lead UI developer. You're interviewing these people who are, 23, 24, they're coming out of university, and they're like, okay, well, what, show me your expertise. And it goes, yeah, okay, right, I've got a calculator here, I've got Doom running on it, and it's got its own operating system. I'm like, I don't want to be keeping up with these kids. Like, I've been programming for I started web development when it was HTML, and that was it. Like, JavaScript was a concept.
Yeah.
Like, pre-CSS. I like the first website I sold was the year after the internet started. Mm-hmm. I was 14 or something like that, and I did Yellow Pages advert for Alzani Designs, which was my old company. And some guy rang my parents' house, which is what the phone number was in the Yellow Pages. Like, this is Alzani Designs website. It's like, my dad answered. He was like, yes, I'll get Andrew to call you back.
Dad, did you call him back?
He didn't realise that I was a kid, so I'd sold him this website for like 40 quid or something. The Burton Sign Group. It was a company that made the big like SO signs that go outside the front of petrol stations.
Yeah.
And it's just like advertising. So it's just basically a gallery with a contact form on it. And so I've been like developing since then. So I've spent 25 years trying to keep up with every single changing technology, and I finally got to the point where I was like a senior React developer, and I was like, okay, I've planted my flag now. This is what I'm going to do, senior React developer. And then you get to a point when you're a lead developer, you stop really writing programming, especially when you have like a reasonably large team.
Checking PRs.
Yeah, PR. That's all you're doing.
Yeah,
approving pull requests. And that was it. So that was fine. It was that and interviewing. That was basically fine. And then I
Doom on a calculator.
Yeah.
How the fuck did you do this?
But then I moved into user experience design, and the problem was I trained a lot of user experience design stuff, but then actually the implementation of that in the real world is quite different. Mm-hmm. And so I started a new UX division in the company I was working at, and then I brought some new bods in, and I was like, oh god, they're better than me at this. They weren't. They just had slightly different skills, and they trained at it in a more regimented way. Whereas I just went, right, let's go straight for the PhD. We're probably going about it the wrong way, but whatever. And
all doctors, all doctors of information.
so it's like,
They just-
is there a doctor on the plane? Yes. Do you need a computer fix? Do you want me to
His
explain?
man is dying. He's allergic to peanuts. Yeah, but we can make a website
Do
for.
you want me to explain to you why the submit button is on the bottom right of your phone? Because that's the kind of that was the kind of stuff that we were researching. Like when I did my masters, smartphones were just becoming a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to get interested in how you relay information into small screen. So that's kind of what led me to where we are now.
Because you're working with some pretty small screens.
Yeah. It was like, the majority, we're doing the research of how people use smartphones for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's like the majority of people hold the phone in the right hand and they want to click things with their thumb. So the button has to be at the bottom right, because otherwise people can't reach it.
Mm-hmm.
Such a simple little thing. But if you don't think about that level of human interaction in there, then you don't make that design decision. And it was like, Apple did this thing that if you double soft tapped the button at the bottom, the entire screen would shift down, so you could then reach the thing at the top.
It's only so I've got the beta of 26 on
Right.
my phone, and they've moved the URL bar to the bottom of the screen. Right,
So it's exactly that kind of reason.
but that should have been done from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because as you're saying, you're sitting there, your thumb's there all the time. You'd have to be like, okay, I actually have to now employ my other hand.
yeah.
To get to the top to
Do
enter,
hand operation, yeah.
which makes no sense. And it's like you say, you say getting a doctorate in order to find that, but it still takes massive companies like Apple. What is it now? Like, how far into it are we? iPhone 50? Like,
Yeah, well,
how
it
many
was
years?
2011 it all kicked off.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
it was
14 years later, they finally realised that, we could just drop the URL bar.
They reckon that humanity is going to gain longer, more dexterous thumbs over
Nice.
evolution
Cool.
because
I won't.
of this. A bit late for me, my stubby digits, but yeah. So it was like, and then so now doing what I do now, it's dumb. I was decided, okay, maybe this. Oh yeah, that was it. That series, I made those 2 videos. I was like, well, what if I build a React front end on an Arduino device, so that means people can control their underglow and stuff from their phone, and that was the pivot, because that blew up.
That was the 10,000 view.
15, something like that. I don't remember, but I was like, oh, people are really interested in this, and I can actually bring in my wealth of other experience from programming and user experience design and offer a different angle on a field that was out there. So if you go and start searching about, say, a digital dashboard design or something like that, you get either these big companies like Nifty City that do these things, or Haltech that do these incorporated dashboards, and they're really expensive. They're really limited. So you install them, and what you've got is what you've got.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they're like per manufacturer or per vehicle. So it's, if your vehicle doesn't have a thing produced for it, tough shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, well, maybe I can create something that is a bit more universal, a bit more accessible, a bit more affordable, and will allow people to create something that they want their own way, in the way that suits them, and understand the process. And if they don't want to understand the process, maybe we can make it so that they can control these things just with their phone, or
There's a plug and play version, or there's and you can go deeper down the mine.
Yeah, exactly. So I then was like, okay, well, I came at it at a different angle. So it seems like most companies that produce these kind of stuff come at it from hardware first. Mm-hmm. So you create the hardware, make it fit the space or whatever, and then go, okay, well, let's think about the UI that sits on top of it. So I came at it from another angle. It was like, okay, well, as a human, how do I interact with this device? What's the best way of going about it? And what's going to be the most accessible way? And the most accessible way is through mobile phones, right? Because overwhelming majority of people who are going to be interested in this kind of thing will have a mobile phone. So first and foremost, this thing needs to be able to talk to a mobile and needs to be able to be customizable through a mobile phone. That is premise one. Also needs to be universal enough that anybody with any car anywhere in the world can use it. So it doesn't matter of the year. If it's got CAN-bus, great, we can use CAN-bus data. If it doesn't have CAN-bus, how can we then allow people to put analog sensors from their car, their speed sensor, the throttle position sensors, into these boards and use that information? So we need to be able to build a system that works around that. And then beyond that, how do we allow people to either have really simplistic setup or then, like you say, about the customization? So people who want to dig into the weeds and create something cool and custom and unique for them can do so. And people who just want to be able to one-click download something that looks good in their car that someone else has designed can also do that. But it also has to be useful enough that at the moment, if you go out and buy, let's say, a turbo gauge for a car, they come in two sizes, 52 and 60 millimeters, and that's it. All gauges are standardized to two sizes. So every pod that you can buy that goes on your car, whether it's one that goes up the A-pillar or that goes on the top of the dashboard, they're all sized for those. So it has to fit one of them. Now, 52 millimeter is a bigger challenge. We'll tackle in that one soon, but the first ones were 60 millimeters. Get yourself a little bit more space. So I created something that was form functional that could fit into any existing things. So anyone who's got gauges at the moment can go out and replace them with these new customizable things. And then the problem is, let's say you've got a car that's got a turbo on it and you want to put a turbo gauge in. That turbo gauge has one use, looks one way, that's it. Yeah. And they can be reasonably expensive. You know, you can get cheap ones, 30, 40 quid. But you can easily spend a lot of money. I had the official Genome Defi ones for my Subaru Impreza. It's 4 gauges and it was £3,200 for 4 gauges, right? Stupid money. Wow. But they look really cool.
Were they carbon fiber?
No, they were just horrifically expensive. So you can easily spend £100 to £300 on an individual, just a boost gauge.
Yeah.
So my thought about it was like, why don't I make something that it can be a boost gauge, or you could swipe it and it could be something else, or you could press a button and it could be something else, or make it look however you want, or you could have it so that what I like about how I'm designing them for my car is they show nothing until there's a problem. And this is the user experience side of me coming in. So the amount of people that have your water temperature gauge, right?
Yeah.
And most people think cold, fine, hot, but it doesn't really mean anything.
It sits in the middle.
Yeah, and that's because the way a modern water gauge works, temperature gauge, is it doesn't show the temperature. Mm-hmm. It shows 3 states, good, okay, or bad. That's it. Yeah. Bad, okay, bad.
Oh, right. Okay.
Low is bad.
Low's bad, yeah.
Low's bad, middle's good, top's bad. And if you're in between a threshold, let's say 75, as long as you're below like 75 to 105 degrees C, it considers it fine. When you go over like maybe 115 degrees C, it goes bad, so it goes and it puts you into the bad section. So it's not really a temperature gauge, right? So
fuck.
Yeah. So the information is too much for people who don't require it. So day-to-day driving, you don't really need to see your water temperature unless there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
So when you're using it daily, it's not got enough information, or it's got too much information. But when you need it, it's not got enough information. So how can we then change that? So my water temperature gauge is invisible on my gauge until it's overheating, and it just comes up and says overheating water, because I don't need to know that it's fine.
Yeah. What do you use? I guess that then gives you space to use something else in that spot.
Yeah, but a lot of the time, a bunch of my gauges are going to just be blank because what's the point? Why do you need all that information? The modern design of people putting massive dashboards in cars has absolutely ruined I think the driving experience, because it's so easy to be distracted.
Are we
by it.
talking like Teslas and
Yeah,
Mercedes?
I did
got like the wrap,
did a video about how I hate Tesla designs. I hate like big
the mega pad.
tablets and like so distracting. It's too much information. I need speed. I need fuel level, and I only need fuel level if I'm ever run out of fuel, really. But I need speed.
Revs.
Why do you need revs?
You can hear it, I
Yeah.
guess.
I almost never look at my rev counter. Do you look at your rev counter
I
when you're driving?
did when I was driving a manual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I drive an automatic, and I just
Yeah.
never think about anything.
Yeah, so I don't use my rev counter.
Yeah.
I don't though. Oh, I'm at 3,200 RPM. Time to change up. I listen to the car. Like I've got quite a noisy car, so it's a lot more obvious. But
Yeah.
even in I've got a Civic as like a little daily, not a noisy car. I still don't look at the rev counter. So
I mean, it's only something that I would ever look at as a child. Well, not as a child, but as a younger man. When I was interested in trying to get as much speed out of the vehicle as I possibly could.
yeah.
That's the only time I'd ever look at it.
Yeah.
Driving around city, never.
So the need for speed style gauges that I'm doing at the moment, they have a arrow on them, which is like change up now. So I have it so you can set the RPM that comes on at. So in my car, the peak is 4,400 RPM. So as long as the little arrow, so I could have the speed and a little arrow that says change up, that again is contextualized. So the information is only pertinent and necessary when it's pertinent and necessary. The rest of the time, it doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
So I reckon my entire driving experience could be the speed, and that's it. And I wouldn't need anything else unless it's like, if I'm going to run out of fuel, I need to know about it. If my temperature's overheating, I need to know about it. If my ABS is failing, I need to know about it. But until that point, I don't need to know about it. So what's the point of it? And instead, the distraction doesn't become all these screens. It becomes me in the road, and it just the keeping my eye on the things around me, rather than having those things. But that's a kind of like quite a personal UX journey.
Ultimate simplicity. That.
Yeah. And it's the opposite of the way the entire industry is going. And I put a video out about this, and loads of people were like, "Oh my god, I agree." I've not thought about it up until this point, but now you've said it. Yeah, everything is terrible, and all modern design is terrible, and it is way too distracting. But the amount of people that like agree with it is kind of like really funny. But I might be going on. Well, I'm actually designing for 2 cars at the moment. So I'm designing a full dash as a minimalistic kind of concept for my Civic, and then my 350Z, I'm doing a full Need for Speed Underground 2 kitty interior dashboard system, which is over the top and it's ridiculous and it's going to look stupid.
Hold on. How deep are we going with this? Like, how deep are you going to go with this new kitty?
So,
for speed?
My car has
how far?
3 gauges in front of you and then 3 small gauges.
Yeah.
So in the middle one is the RPM and the speedo with the kitty's face on it.
Yeah.
And then usually you would have the NOS thing. There's like a blue arc across the top, and when you press it, it goes. So that is my throttle position sensor. So as I put my foot down on the floor, that goes up and down. So you get that arc moving. It's just a little bit fun. Then on the left is a replica of the map from the bottom of the game, which is a GPS logged, and it's going to be the map with a north thing on it, and it'll be alive and it'll be styled to look like it, but it's Google Maps reskinned. Then on the right hand side one is basically, it looks like the menu from the game, but it's like odometer and number of miles covered and all that kind of stuff. So that's there. Then the 3 little ones, I've got one that is just a speedo, because those 3 little ones, that's where my eye is most of the time. So it's the one that's most in the eye line, and it's useful having it straight down in front of you, but I feel you have to bring your head too far down. So by having it on these high 3 gauges, just speedo on one, the other one's got oil, temperature and pressure, and the other one's got coolant temperature.
Sounds so cool.
So it's just, but they're all styled the same. And then I've built a thing where I can either go into the main one with a touch screen, and then it comes up and you can restyle the colors of like all the ticks and the needle and the kitty's face. And as soon as you press it, they're all connected by a canvas loop. So you can press one and it distributes that color to all the gauges.
Because I saw that you actually you got your Xbox.
Yeah.
You got your Xbox out, loaded up your save game.
Yeah, so the Xbox is going in the car, and then screens on the sun visor, so you can actually sit and play it. sit in the racing seats because I got bride racing seats. But it's kind of it's becoming a show car more and more. So it's kind of I love the idea that someone's going to sit in it and they'll be like, "Oh, just turn the engine on," and all these gauges come up, and it'll like load with 350Z over the gauges, and then fade, and then the need for speed all stuff will come in, and it's going to be so dumb. But I put a video up about making the need for speed gauges in real life, because amazingly no one's ever done it before. There's a company that makes like printout overlays that you can put over the top of your existing gauges, but that's it. So it's like, how has no one ever done this before? So I did that, and then the next day it was like, I've got a Google alert for Andy Valentine, and it's usually just a policeman in Wales who's a constable, and he's always in the news. You remember the incident where the guy up by Bristol Bridge with the 2 beheadings, and so that was Andy Valentine was the police officer that investigated that. So for weeks I just had all these news articles coming in about that. I was like, cannot forget about that. But suddenly I started getting Andy Valentine like Need for Speed. I was like, oh, it's like NBC, and then Car Talk UK, and then all these like different car channels start picking up, and then suddenly like went from 0 to like 50,000 views in a couple of days, and people are just really like, oh my god, the nostalgia behind this. So I think it's the combination of people being interested in the technology and people just being interested who are like the same age as me, as suddenly they're in the 40s, they've got enough money to do these dumb things and they want to do it, or there's just a pang of nostalgia of just seeing this thing. And I think that's the interesting thing about my content. Like, a lot of people make electronic engineering PCB screen content, right? But all my stuff is done under the umbrella of automotive. So I have this kind of like Venn diagram of 2 audiences. I have people who just like car stuff and want to just see something cool made in a car. Then I have all these people who are tinkerers and they want to make projects in whatever form they might be, and they're just interested in the process. Like, how do you design a PCB that can survive in a car? That goes to AEC 1000 automotive standards. Like, how do you do that? And I had to figure that out and like talk with people who make automotive PCBs. And I did that, and then 3 days later I make a video on it, and it comes across like I know what I'm talking about because I've packaged the information that I've learned in a way that's accessible. And again, loops back to what I'm saying about, having that background to have enough of a deep level understanding of the thing to actually genuinely understand it, and then repackage it into a way that is, accessible to people. So it's like this Venn diagram of people, and then there's the super interested ones who are like the middle slice of the two, and they're the ones who are buying all the stuff. So
it's so fascinating though, and I think like from an outsider's perspective, it doesn't at all, like listening to the story, listening to the progression of your life, this just seems like you're like collating a load of skills that you've learned over a series of time, and then you're just having fun, like in terms of like you're not going to turn up to Ford and they're going to be like, right, welcome to Ford, you're now a developer for this. Can you make some Need for Speed dials, please? But you get to sit there and go, well, like, everything has gone through understanding analytically, right? So you're like, okay, people like this, people like this, people like this. And it turns out that what people liked you to deliver was, you talked about Venn diagrams, the Venn diagram of the interest that you have.
Sure.
I mean, the next logical thing is that you're going to have some of your music in it as well, so that you've got the whole, the whole collection.
I think unfortunately the music we've been straying into copyright grounds is the problem there. I remember the first time, so we were talking earlier, I used to be in a Shrek band, Shrek theme band, so we play songs from the Shrek soundtrack. And then we became a Limp Bizkit tribute band. One of my all-time favourite moments was we were performing a song, and I got my phone on a mount in front of me. We're performing, I can't think what, break stuff or something. We're practicing it, and the phone came up and it matched break stuff, and it thought it was the band that it could hear in the background. And I was like, oh We're nailing the sounds, and now we're in practicing for a Stars in the Rise event later on this year. And we're going to do Pendulum, and that's going to be.
Do you know which songs you're going to be doing?
We've got a few listed out. I really want to start with Blood Sugar because it's like one of my all-time favorites. But Slam, Voodoo People, obviously. But we're changing it a little bit. So, like, I play a little bit of keyboard. My fiance, she really wanted to learn, so we got her keyboard, and I got her piano lessons. And then she would come home from the lesson and show me what she'd learned. So I can play a bit of keyboard, as well as, my music theory is pretty good. But the idea of playing a keyboard in 4 months' time, live on stage, and singing and performing, be like, well, you say singing, it's Pendulum. Hype manning is probably a better description of it. But we're like, we can do it one of two ways. Either I can learn it and get really good, or we can fake it and the DJ can do it. Or I'll play the rhythm section on guitar, which I can do, and our lead guitarist will do all the crazy stuff because he's a full-time professional guitar player. He's very, very good. So we're going to do that route and put our own spin on it, make it a little bit more punk. So that's going to be interesting. But what a cacophony of creative avenues, and that's the thing. I think this is going to be an overwhelming theme for the rest of my life. I can't imagine myself being 70 and being like, oh, that's it, I've completed creativity. There's nothing else to complete. And it's going to be things like how to make the perfect garden shed. You know what I mean? It's going to end up down that route. And like I was saying, I started this channel with the idea. It was originally called Valentine Autos, and it was going to be like a Top Gear-esque. So I wanted to do some project builds, like project car stuff, some modification stuff,
car reviews
and road trips. And so we did some like driving down the A48 alongside the top of Devon. It's immense, but it was just not getting traction. And then that's the thing. You talk about, how YouTube has unlocked this potential for me to just turn up to work every day and do whatever the hell I want, which is true in one regard, but also every time I veer slightly off topic, the views tank. So I made a video a couple of weeks ago where I'd made some custom lighting for headlights and putting LEDs in headlights and making custom halos and doing all this stuff and then how to control it. Because it's not canvas and gauges, which is now what is blowing up my channel, the views are 25% of what they would usually be. So I find that I'm getting more and more creative freedom, but I'm also getting more and more my hands are tethered into continuing a narrative and a journey that people actually want to see. And I'm not big enough yet, at this point, depending on when you release this, I'm around 30,000 subs. Yeah. I'm not big enough yet that people watch the video for Andy. They don't care who Andy is, right? So I was saying, me talking into the camera, I am the B-roll, and I need to be more the B-roll and not the A-roll, because people tune in to see the thing, and they're interested in either the process, the skill, what they can learn. A lot of my videos are titled "How to blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
So me sitting and talking at a 5-minute introduction is there's okay, let's skip past this and get to the bit that we want to get to. So you have to learn to take that bit out, and at the moment, I have to take the me out of it a little bit, whilst still trying to. I think the meanness of it is actually quite important, because a lot of the time you find people who are doing similar content are very often faceless. So it's either a camera down on a worktop, or it's someone talking over a screen share of Visual Studio Code, and they're just writing some stuff, right? And they often, you never see the person. It's just a face. It's faceless, and it's just a voice. So by me trying to do what I'm doing is in putting the meanness of it is hopefully I am the thing that connects the viewer to the content. I'm the conduit.
Yeah.
and I'm the thing that makes that thing a bit more understandable.
It's that human design.
Yeah.
Right.
And by doing that, I think that's a very, very big reason about why my stuff has picked up quite so quickly, is because it's like almost disrupting what people are doing in that space.
Yeah.
And again, the product that I've created, this thing, we were just talking about it.
Yeah.
This
Bring it out.
dumb little thing. So, the companies that created this stuff, the hardware, make them, you can never go and find a circuit diagram of what it actually is made up of or how it works. And, this is called the power protection board. So this takes your car's input signal at 12 plus volts, usually running about 14.5, and it protects it from electromagnetic discharge and like reverse polarity and transients and over voltages and all that kind of stuff. So it's really just a simple little board, but no one's ever produced a board that just does that. It just protects Arduinos or microcontrollers of any kind from car signals. And it's like, why has no one ever done that? So we're creating these things, plus at the same time we're releasing all of the schematic diagrams, we're totally open sourcing everything.
Wow.
Because for me, that's the empowerment side of it. So now someone can go, okay, well, I've got a board, or I want to make my own digital dashboard, but I don't know how to figure out the power protection side of it. So they can go grab that schematic diagram and that little bit of the schematic that does the power protection, drop it into their own design, and then they've got that little bit of the thing sorted. And then they can just, build on top of that. Now, obviously, there is the part of me that is kind of like, I think the big thing that's going to be with this is the software. So obviously the software that I'm creating works perfectly with these boards.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of, the thought process is what is going to happen is people are going to be making stuff for their own cars. They're going to share it as part of my open source ecosystem. And then other people are going to be like, I want to put that in my car. And they'll all do it. They're going to come buy my gauges because they know it works.
So all the design templates and everything that you're using, like to create the gauges, you're making all of that open source as well?
Absolutely everything.
So people can go and they can download the design template for the kitty gauges, for example.
Illustrator files, the lot.
Wow. And then they can just use that template, create their own, and upload it to a marketplace.
Tweak it. Yeah, so it's obviously, my one caveat is you can't then sell anything as a subsidiary of it.
So it's like
anything that you had
community.
Full open source community. And I think there's an idea that not necessarily in order to, but a lot of companies that are successful disrupt, and they find something that is, locked down, or something that is always been the way.
Hidden behind the veil.
Yeah. And they disrupt it, they change it in some way. So what I've tried to do with this particular product is make it accessible, affordable, open, understandable. And not only do we have like the product and the software that goes with it, but if you want, there's so far, 15 videos related to the ongoing build of this process, and like going through prototype A, B, and C to get to where it is. And I broke down every step of it and why we made the decisions to change the hardware. And there's interviews with me and a guy I work with, Matt Kaiser, from a company called Kaiser Engineering in the States, who's a full-time automotive PCB designer. He goes, we chose this resistor and this capacitor and this voltage regulator because of these reasons, and this is the decision, this is why we've made those decisions. So if you need to limit a car's input signal, you want to do this, and you want to have this kind of TVS diode, and you want to have this transient diode. You want to have all these parts for these reasons. So we're not only giving people the ability to then go out and make their own stuff, that we're empowering people to learn. And a lot of this, if you told me 9 months ago that I'd release my own PCB, I'm like, I have never considered producing a PCB in my entire life. And now I've just had 2,000 of them arrive at my house on Tuesday.
It blows my mind.
The biggest import bill that I've ever paid in my entire life. I was hoping it would sneak through, but then I got an email from DHL. Please pay us £5,000. Oh no!
I think like how I look at this, right? And you said 9 months ago, if you'd have thought
Yeah,
you would have had this in your hands,
yeah.
you never thought it. I look at this and go, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, I didn't.
To begin to even understand, like, what do I say to someone to get this? You know, I'm like, I need something that does this, this, and this. But it's like,
the fortunate is, like some like big companies. So I work with a company called WaveShare.
Yeah,
WaveShare are a PCB manufacturer. They are very leading, one of the biggest companies, and they send me all of their prototypes. So they're about to release something new. They send it to me like first now, and I get to show it off. And I've honestly put boards out, and they've gone, nah, the response isn't good enough, and they've cancelled boards.
wow,
Which is crazy, right? As someone who had never considered doing this less than a year ago, now I'm some kind of authority
on boards, on also their product roadmap.
Yeah,
somehow.
Yeah. So anyway, they send me all of their stuff, and they publish all their schematic diagrams. So the big thing for me initially was stealing from the professionals, is what I call it. It's just like reverse engineering what someone has done. So if you can take a schematic diagram, all this is a standard Arduino board in a different form factor. It's a different shape.
Right, okay.
With canvas stuff on it. So it allows, usually if you've got an Arduino, let's say you go out and buy a ESP32 W-room board, it'll have that, but then if you want to connect it to a car, you're going to need a canvas thing in the so
you need a converter,
a transceiver, that connects to the board and then connects to the car. So a bit in the middle. So we've integrated all of that stuff on here. So the idea is what we're trying to do is bring it all in as like an all-in-one solution. But then this one works with cars with canvas, but then there's obviously other cars that want analog signals, and they've got analog sensors.
PCB board for that as well?
So we've got an accessory board. So like this one is, like I was saying, is designed to all the holes in here all line up, so you can put standoffs, and you can just basically attach the two together. So we've got another one that goes on it, which is a bunch of analog sensors. So you just do that, and then you plug in, and it just all works together, because then we've released all the software that does all the conversions and everything for it. So the idea is what I'm hoping happens, and people are starting to talk about it, but only in small, is that people then start to build other accessory boards and design their own accessory boards that work with it and open source them. And I would love that. I'm not worried about this making me hundreds of thousands of pounds, right? I would rather live, I'm not going to say frugally, but like, okay, live comfortably, and never be like a millionaire. That's not a huge interest of mine.
Based off of our conversation earlier, it doesn't seem like something you'd want.
But I'd rather empower all these people to like use this as the basis of something and build on top of it, and see tens of thousands of implementations of this, like across cars, across the world, and other ways that people are thinking of using them. People are using them for flight simulators, for driving simulators. People are buying just the power protection boards because they've got other stuff that they want to implement into cars. So they know, I can just stick that in the middle as an input output, and then all my other stuff's protected from that board. And so there's going to be applications for this that I've not even considered at this point. And that's what I think is really exciting about it. Like 9 months ago, I had no idea I would end not even end, but I'd be at this point of this journey. Another year from now, I've got no concept. I've got an idea what I would like. I need to hire some people. I need to take the editing of my videos off my hands. But it's like I've been through so many different careers, whether it's, a UX lead or a UI developer or a professional cosplayer, which I ended up doing for a while, or a 3D model maker or a musician or whatever it might be. I've got no problem putting those things aside and be like, right, on to the next thing. And just just going with the flow. I'm not like now going, okay, right, I'm a gauge designing PCB board manufacturing thing. I don't want to be some kind of.
But you're going to see this product through. And you're going to
Well, yeah,
process.
I'm going to ship them all this week, except for America. It's another side point, but they're all getting shipped literally this week. And I made these really affordable to start with because from a user experience perspective, I wasn't interested in making loads of money off this. I was interested in getting it into people's hands and seeing how they use it, see if there's any shortfalls, if someone in Saudi Arabia, where they are going, puts them in cars, but the cars are all too hot and it's causing, what issues do people have with it? And from there we'll refine it and we'll make the next version and we'll make it better and better. And then again, it's like this empowerment for people to create stuff themselves and have that own feeling and sense of pride, rather than just buying something, a gauge off the shelf, putting it in the car, plugging it in and being like, good. They'll go in, they'll download something, they'll maybe hook up some Canvas IDs either through their phone or through their computer. They'll go, oh, I want to use this font and that looks really cool, and be really proud of it, put it in their car and go, I did that. I made that work, and I hooked it up to my car either by following a video that I've shown people how to hook it up to Canvas, or through using a wireless distributor, which we're designing at the moment. And just that, it's that feeling. It's the same with like making 3D cosplay props, and then, being at a convention, being at Comic-Con, and someone comes up to me and goes, I know you, and I built these swords from your model. I'm like, that's so cool. And they were like, I couldn't have done it without you. And like, I don't know how many cosplay props I sold in the end over 5 years. 50,000, maybe. A lot. And just knowing that there's people all over the world who have like used something that I've created.
Got your noisy crickets.
I got my noisy crickets, yeah. But they've made all this stuff. And it's just about that empowering of people to maybe like better themselves. And
This
like
is the theme for you.
Yeah.
Like, it seems you don't want to give people the easy ride. It's like you want to give people the cool thing.
Yeah.
But you also want them to have like the gratification of actually implementing it.
Despite the HPD, I've now learnt that I can like step away from that, and I can have like almost like secret pride. Like I'd be peeping from a distance, be like, they're enjoying that over there because of me, and they don't even know. They don't even know it. Yeah. It's just, I mean, obviously, getting well known for doing this is both a blessing and a curse. I was urinating in a toilet in a service station the other week, and someone came up and tapped me on the back. Was like, "You Andy Valentine, the garage tinkering." I was like, "Yes."
I'm holding my dick right there, buddy.
Like, time and place. And I came out, and my missus said, I told my fiance, and she was like, "You do realise you're wearing a garage tinkering T-shirt as well?" I was like, "Oh yeah." So, and now I've had to learn that there's a time and a place to wear my own merch.
Yeah,
it's fine now.
Yeah.
And
not in restrooms. Always wear a shirt.
Do you recall?
Oh yeah. Do I recall?
So this one's a little bit dirty. The hollow crown. This is. I wear this a lot when I'm working on the car.
Oh,
I've got like 3 tiers of clothes. Yeah. So it was started as tier 1, and it slowly over the 10 years of owning it has become, unfortunately, a tier 3 item of clothing. It gets worn when I'm out walking on the car.
You need a new one.
Yeah,
I've got some more. I've got a box.
What are you? Are you a large or an extra large?
I am a large.
There you
Probably
go.
large. Thank you, sir.
I thought of all the people who would like the message on the back, it would be you. I hope that something good happens to you today.
I do love that.
Yeah, that was my idea. Again, like you go to car cons and car conventions and stuff, and the amount of people who've got locally hated or, terror in the nation or shitbox, like being on the car, like, if you're going to put a message out into the world, why are you putting out a message of like, I'm an asshole?
Also, onto your own self.
Yeah.
It's like vibration. You're like literally making people go, asshole?
Yeah. The amount of people who I have like start behind me, driving behind me, because that's the message in the same font that's on the back of my car, and underneath it I've got a logo of the it's the 7 lucky gods. It's a Japanese thing.
Yeah.
And they start behind me and they pull up next to me and they go, just give me a thumbs up, and it's either like, I like the car because a lot of people like the car anyway. Or it's like I like the messaging that's on the car. And it's like when people put positive mental health, like men get sad too.
Yeah.
Guys get sad too, or whatever the slogan. It's like, why, if you're going to put something out into the world as a slogan on your car, like, why not make it something good?
Yeah.
And try and uplift rather than, go around going, I'm a dickhead.
Yeah. Like, it seems so obvious, and it's so hilarious that it's not so more widely done, and hopefully this is the seed. Like, the fact that you close all your videos with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's on
That's just me trying to build a brand.
but like,
it's working.
It's a nice brand. It's like, I hope there's something good happens to you today.
Yeah.
Like, it's not over the top. You're not like, I hope that God shines down and wind is in your back, and like, it's not like
that's the next iteration.
Yeah. I hope that you always have the wind in your sail on your way to battle, my friend. But it's just, I hope something good. I just hope something good happens to you today.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not even that hard thing to think. Like,
yeah,
I would hope that anyone I interact with, something good happens to them today and tomorrow and the next day.
And what I've found about it as well is I've started to try and apply that mindset to myself. So at the end of every day, I try and take like 5 minutes of reflection, think back on that day and go, well, what was something good that's happened today? And sometimes it's just dead simple. Like, my dog's recall got a little bit better. Like, she left the fox poo alone when I told her. Simple thing, but sometimes it's something really good. A sponsor reached out, and now I've got this really awesome thing coming that I was really interested in. And I think everybody, if they just sometimes take a small moment to reflect on maybe something little and significant that happened, especially with, like we were talking about earlier, the negative chaos that is the world as it is. It's a good mindset to be able to have.
Yeah.
And, it's, for me, it's about that moment of growth. Like, when I was going through my journey of sobriety, one of the big things was taking those moments of brevity in order to reflect positively on the growth that you're going through and your journey that you're on. And that kind of, it started to snowball. Like, at the time, I was still doing the cosplay stuff, and I was getting big into the gym. And I started for a little while, I thought I was going to start an artistic mental health retreat in Norway.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that. So I started a thing called Rebirth, and it's like messy, beautiful growth.
Yeah.
Was the idea. I had this like chaotic moth. I've always liked the idea of moths. I love moths. So it was this Cinnabar moth as this logo, and it's the idea that growth growth isn't always, oh yes, I was broken but now I'm fine. And my own personal journey of becoming better has not been just, oh, I'm broken and now I'm fine. It's been a lot of mess and a lot of hard work and a lot of things that have gone wrong or things that have changed over the journey that I didn't expect. And it's so okay, you can go 2 steps forward and 1 step back, as long as you're moving forwards.
Yeah. Creating that space as well, so that you can be held accountable by a supportive network, and that's where right relationship comes in, being with the right person, so who's able to talk to you, and be able to call you out for your shit, and for you to be able to take it with some like decency and be humble about it and be like, oh, okay, maybe, okay.
It's funny. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and we were like, they were like, oh, your big test for any relationship is your first big argument, and how you both handle it. And they were like, what was yours analysis? What was your big? I was like, we haven't had one. 3 and a bit, 4 years, and we've had one argument in our entire relationship. It's when she was hungover and she was like, Andy, I think I want to be a farmer. And like raise chickens. And then I was like, babe, you struggle to get out of bed at 8:30 a lot of the time. There's no way you're getting up at 4:30. I don't think you've got it in you to be a farmer. And she was like, I think got really upset about it. And it was like our only real argument. Obviously we disagreed on things, but it's our only argument that we've had in the entire course of our relationship. And our when we were dating, I think on like a second or third date, I said to her, "Oh, you're so agreeable," and it was just like a thing that happened. I like now her engagement ring says on the inside "forever agreeable," and it's just the things that we say to each other that we're both really like. There's just when you say about finding the right person, we slotted into each other's lives so easily, and it like the funny thing is, throughout my journey of being in Bristol, I moved to Bristol in 2010. We've lived within minutes of each other twice.
Wow.
Well, now 3 times.
So you were in each other's orbit
all the time. And if I'd met her at any of the other points in my life, it would have been the wrong time. And I would have met her too early, or at the wrong point at either one of our journeys. But then we met when I'd been sober for 18 months, decided I was going to start dating again. We met on Tinder, typical story. She was redhead and cute. I was tattoos and within half a mile. That was basically that was the criteria. Yeah, it did help. I had this. Remember my Ragnar Viking phase when he was doing that? I had the long braid. Oh, that was my Tinder photo, and that helped. But yeah, and then we met, and it was just like 2 months later we were living together, and then 8 months after that we bought a house. It was just like 2 months after that we got a dog. It's like just
when it happens, it happens.
Been easy.
Yeah.
Easiest. Like falling in love with that girl has been like the easiest thing I've ever done in my life.
Well, and also you got to witness it all completely and utterly sober.
Yeah.
For the first time.
I got to enjoy every minute of it, and I know, like now, I've learned to take my time with things a bit more as well. I don't rush into stuff. I don't let the ADHD take over quite so much, and so I get to like compartmentalize joy as well and I get to just enjoy those little things. And like I think a big part of the reason we've never really fought anything is I've never put my foot in my mouth. Because instead of just like snap reacting to something like I would have done, especially if I used to when I was drinking, it's like now I take my time and go, okay, how is me responding to this going to affect, like if I get snippy, how's that going to affect things? I can obviously have that thought over 5 seconds, in my brain, just take a second just to figure out how I'm going to react to the situation and then do it in the best way. And I think we've never butted heads about anything, and it's remarkable. But
that is lovely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting married next year, and then off to Japan for 4 weeks and go buy another car.
Have you got an eye on what you're going to buy?
Yeah, Skyline.
Yeah. Why did I ask?
R33 GTST Skyline. Import it back and then do full GTR body kit swap and full custom interiors and
videos for all of that.
Yeah, everything's content.
Yeah.
If I don't make videos on it, I can't tax deduct it. So,
okay.
yeah, and I think that's the only big trap I'm falling into at the moment is like
many ideas.
No, it's more the learning to blur and separate, or learning not to blur and separate life and content. Because at the moment, I have this thing is like everything is content, and the amount of like there is always a video camera in my boot of my car, because just in case something comes along and it's content and it's interesting. And the problem is the majority of my viewers are in the States. So I like comments on videos typically kick off about 10, 11 o'clock at night, and they go through till 4 or 5 in the morning. That's when the flux of them come in. And I have such a problem of waking up and being like, I'll have a little look at the latest comments and respond to a couple, and then suddenly it's 5:30, and I'm like, I should probably go back to sleep. And then the majority of my sponsors are based out of China for either PCBs or electronic product companies that make 3D printers and laser cutters and all this kind of stuff that I'm very blessed to be sent. And so often I'm like reading through a contract at 5 a.m. and just being like, yeah, I agreed to these terms and sending that back, and just like, because you need to do it before they finish work when we start at 9, and like, yeah, I'm definitely burning the candles a little bit. And so a big part of my life now is trying to manage success, I think.
Yeah.
So it's little things, like I say, like something as simple as not wearing branded T-shirts when I'm on the way home from a wedding and a toilets of a service station. But it's more like I used to have notifications on for YouTube, right? So now all my notifications are off on my phone. So anytime a comment comes in, I don't know about it. So I give myself, generally speaking, like 15 minutes at the start of the day at like 9 o'clock, and then finishing at 5:30. I'll go on and I'll respond to all the comments, and I try not to look at it at any other time of the day. And I allow myself to dictate when is the right time, rather than some phone chirping actually saying, hey, attention, please. Yeah. So I'm trying to control that. And then also the separation is like, I can go to an event or a car show, or, you know, I'm in a competition, a car show competition thing on Saturday. And it's like, don't take anything with me. Just go, enjoy, be in the moment, talk to people about the cars, have a good time, and then come home. It doesn't need to be content. I'll have that separation. So, you know, everything around that stuff. I've just got 2 new project cars that I'm about to build for 2 different race cars. So I've got a track car and an autocross car for doing autocross on farmers' fields, basically, driving around Podence with a hydro handbrake. That's going to be great. It's going to be great fun. But, you know, part of me is like, I think I'm just like, the track car is going to be a series, and I'm going to build a dedicated Honda EG K-swapped track car. Yeah. So that we've got the car, and that's start. But then the autocross one, I'm like, no content on that. Build it, enjoy it, go to autocross events, race against people, no content, no, ignore it all. Just have something. Because at the moment, I think it's always the pain when you monetize your hobby. I know I've done it countless times. I did it with cosplay. I've done it with UI design. I've done it with all kinds of stuff. And like, I'm done it now. I've monetized. I was just enjoying doing something, and now I have to worry about it paying my bills every day. And the problem is when you monetize your hobby is, what do you then do to decompress from the thing? Because you don't have anything. You know, they say that, you know, if you do a job that you love, you never work a day in your life, and it's bullshit. If you do a job that you love and is like your hobby, you lose your hobby. Yeah, it's the reality.
You're enjoying your hobby still, but also you've got a load more frameworks around it that are really dependent for you doing your hobby.
It's great that I can wake up at whatever time I want and do whatever the hell I want for videos, so long as, you know, timelines for sponsors are met. And unfortunately, I do 1 video a week, and now every single video has a sponsor, and I've got 85 weeks of content lined up already. Okay. So I'm pretty far. My Trello board.
85 weeks of content.
My Trello board is packed. Yeah. So
it's some foresight. That's just insane, like a hobby.
I keep having ideas, and then they just get added to the list. And
this is actually something that I want to ask. I think like we've been dancing around this now for the last half an hour. You seem like an incredibly busy man. Yeah. You seem like you've got a lot of ideas, you've got a lot of aspirations, and you're also making those things happen. Mm-hmm. So, like, whether it's getting 2 more cars to work on and another car from Japan after you get married. Yeah. It's like, and you've got, obviously, you're selling the PCB boards that you've manufactured online, and you're custom creating UI interfaces,
let alone the software, man.
And you're making videos, you're making applications. Yeah, like there is a plethora of stuff. Yeah. How do you keep yourself even remotely moving forward when, like, because I think a lot of people will hear this and go, how does anyone do that? You know, so what's your sort of like routine?
Honestly, I think I'm doing it poorly. Definitely the ability to take moments to disconnect is important, and I don't do that enough. But having been like, when I broke up with my previous partner, I was starting my 3D modeling business. And I was putting, I don't know, 100 hours a week into doing that, massively at the detriment of my relationship and at my health. And, you know, I would eat shit. I would never think about exercising or anything. So I'd never want to fall into that trap again. Mm-hmm. So definitely trying to take those times. And I still don't do enough. I still, you know, sat with my partner watching something on the TV, and I'm checking comments and responding to emails and all that kind of stuff. And to a degree, fortunately, she's very understanding. She's forever agreeable. That she realizes this at the moment. I think we're in I feel like I'm in a process of doing short-term effort for long-term gain.
Yeah.
I think I can continue at the pace I'm at the moment for another 18 months, 2 years. And at that point, it should hopefully all pay off. And I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to offload some of it. So like the PCB designs now, I have a guy I work with. So he does a lot of that stuff. And I'm kind of becoming the face of a brand of electronics projects. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. And at some point, I'm going to have to take on an editor. But, you know, all these things are reasonably expensive. And I don't want to say micromanagement-y, but I'm finicky about the message, because the stuff I talk about is reasonably complex, and a lot of the time the details are important. So if I hand off 50 hours of me talking and B-roll and all that kind of stuff to an editor and go, make that a 25-minute video, they might cut out a couple of things. They go, oh, it's just talking about some stuff. Doesn't matter. We'll cut that bit out. But that little bit is actually really important. And unless you deeply understand the subject matter, you don't necessarily know. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who are in automotive in particular that still have that level of control. There's a guy called Matt Armstrong, who's probably the biggest automotive YouTuber in the UK. And he's just, you know, he's blown up over the last few years. He's got X million subscribers, started by doing project cars on his drive, and now goes out and buys supercars and Murcielagos and fixes them up. And
Is this the guy who buys cars that are like flood damaged?
Yeah.
And then he likes
yeah, so crash damaged cars predominantly. And so, but he still does all the editing. So he does, like, he has this massive presence, but he does all the editing of all the videos because he feels he's the only one that really understands the content and the message he's trying to put out. And I respect him for that. But it becomes, I think, going forwards, there's going to have to be an element of trust, and me entrusting other people to do things as well as I want them done.
Mm-hmm.
And there are dozens and dozens of people, or thousands of people, who are completely capable of doing that. But it's like finding them. It's like even little things like I've got a Discord that I have for all this stuff, because nobody has Discords for people who want to talk about creating custom digital dashboards over Canvas powered like networks. Mm-hmm. And so subsequently, it's gone from 0 to 1,000 subscribers in a couple of months members. And it's become really active, and people chatting on there every day, and people come in and have coding problems. And part of that was the reason I started that is because all those same questions that people had, they would just put on my channel. So the only person who can then respond is me. Yeah. So, but by putting them on there, they go into the Canvas channel. They go, I'm having a problem with this, or the ID doesn't make sense. And then a bunch of other people who are interested or are experts will answer. So I've taken away a little bit of that pressure. So sometimes about finding those revenues where you're able to put some of that aside is really useful. And then, over the course of having that for a few months, I was like, okay, that guy's really active and he seems like a nice guy. This guy's in America, seems like a good dude. Just ping them a message. Do you want to be a moderator? I'll give you like free membership. You get to see all the videos early. I'll send you a t-shirt. Yeah, fine. Correct. So now they're just a couple of moderators that, we've literally had no problems with spam or anything. But, in the case that happens, that there's a couple of people there who can watch it without me needing to do that. And it's finding people you trust is a fantastic thing. And I've got my best mate is a guy I run a car meet. We run a meet in Bristol together called Cars and Kebabs.
Okay. Literally cars and meat.
Yeah. Yeah. So he runs a kebab shop. And so we meet in the car park at the kebab shop once a week on a Wednesday. So I run the car side of it. So I run outside and I make sure everyone's not being an asshole. No, we're not it's near where we both live. And we don't want people just sat in the car park revving or, doing wheel spins. So anyone who does that, we just tell them to jog on, just leave. And fortunately, it's become so good over the 3 years it's been running that it's self-policing now. So someone comes in and starts revving, someone else will go up to them and go like, "We don't do that here."
This is about kebabs and meat.
Yeah, so
And
we meet and
yeah.
meet.
Meat.
But like the guy I run that meet with is my closest friend now, and we're building the track car together.
Cool.
So he's got like a big space, and so starting to collaborate with other makers, and starting to find that trusted group of people. And I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to identify people who are just as passionate about the subject matter as you are, and being able to like bring them in, even in some small capacity.
So
is good, but I'm tired, man.
what you're saying
Tired.
is what you're saying from my question,
Yeah.
which is how do you
I don't know.
with your day is, but it's an evolving process, and you're trying your best to farm bits off.
Yeah, I'm still bad at it. I still definitely burn the candle way too high at each end, but I'm sacrificing, I think, some short-term effort for some long-term goal.
Do you have any spiritual practices, any faith practices, any like anything like, obviously you said you took 10.5 grams of mushrooms.
Oh yeah, that was
doses, sat under a tree.
Yeah.
Realized that existence was a bunch of polygons, and then left all of your like the emotional release from that, right?
Yeah.
So, did that process give you anything in terms of an understanding beyond yourself? And if so, what is there a belief system there?
I wouldn't say so. I'm atheist.
Okay.
I genuinely, like, if I was to say I believed in anything, it would be karma. But I don't believe in karma in the way that I think people label karma.
Is that because it's got the word car in it?
Yeah, karma. No.
Karma.
Oh God. You see, you said that, and my bread's gone. There's some merch in that. That's branding. That's great. Practice good karma.
Yeah.
Mate.
It's all right. It's recorded. You got it. It's here.
Well, someone might steal it in the process. How many days have I got to release that? But no, I believe that if you're inherently try to do good things and put out good energy into the world, that will, for the most part, come back to you. Mm-hmm. I've definitely felt that I've put some shitty energy into the world over large periods of my life, and my life was shitty because of it. And now, like I say, this last half decade has been about a different energy and a different approach, and different friendships and different love and different self-love. Mm-hmm. And life has become a lot better because of it. And there are lots and lots of other people making car content on YouTube. I don't know if you even call my content car content anymore, but whatever it is that I'm making, there are lots of people who are making similar stuff that haven't been afforded the opportunities that I have, or the collaborations or the sponsorships. And sometimes I have to sit back and go, okay, well, why is that? And I get reflective on that, and you have to be cautious not to delve too deep into the do I deserve it, and start getting into that self-doubt and that self-worth issue again. And I realize actually, yeah, I do. And like a part of that is because I think I am trying so hard to put out this positive message into the world, and everything from the I hope that something good happens to you today through to the empowerment of people to better their lives or understand things or whatever it might be. I think by putting that out into the world makes people a lot more positive back to me. So I go to car meets now, and I never go to a car meet and someone doesn't know who I am or recognize my car off the internet or something like that, because obviously car meet, especially in the southwest of the UK, it's quite a tight-knit community, several thousand people, but most of them know who I am now. And I get people coming, hi, nice to meet you, I really like your content, or I've been watching the car, I want to go have a look, and they like rub in the Alcantara. I'm like, hands off my Alcantara. But it's just like having that kind of response and that kind of positivity is a thing you can easily get used to. And it's I don't ever want to have that feeling again that I've caused negativity in people's lives, and so I keep concentrating on that positive spin. Hopefully that's going to be the message that follows me around for the rest of my life.
Well, it's interesting because you say you're atheist, and then you talk.
What have I just described?
And then you talk about resonance, and you talk about the return of positive energy.
Yeah.
Which to me would then infer that there is a realm of perception that is unbeknownst to physical reality, and so it's
I think that's visual perception. I think it's just people seeing me do good things and enjoying the things that they see. And like,
but do you not feel like it's a felt thing? Like when someone says, when someone looks at you with a positive intent, you feel it, right?
Yeah.
When someone looks at you with no intent or malign intent,
sure,
you feel it as well. Even with no words spoken, there's like a, do you know what's happened?
And it stopped.
It is the vibration of what you eat. So like what has what is going into your mouth, and that could be cortisol, right?
Yeah.
If you've got high cortisol meat going into your body, then you're bringing high cortisol content into your body, which is going to lead you to feeling shitter and more stressed. But yeah, as
you are what you eat.
You are what you eat. As within, so without. As above, so below.
Yeah,
as they say.
Oh my god, it reminds me of LARP.
Yeah, I mean, I would be a cleric if I was in LARP.
We had a group. I was doing an airsoft LARP over Halloween. Oh god, 10 years ago. It was amazing, and it was we had a load of basically a religious group called the Church of the Left Hand, and they were supposed to be sacrificing someone at midnight on Halloween night in the middle of the woods, and the players found them and they shot the cleric, and we were like, this was not supposed to happen, this was not scripted. What's going to happen? We'll become suicide bombers. So they're literally, we wait for them to go to bed, 2:00 in the morning. We're running into their tents and dropping these M4 explosive grenades. Just go, bang! Yeah, like drop them into the tent, and we would run in and go, as below, so below, bang! Like just blowing ourselves up as in these tents. Man, it was so much fun.
How long did that go on for?
5 days.
Wow, that is like a serious LARPing.
24-hour game time, as soon as you clock in. So it was 25 players and 200 crew. So we had like a full working town, bars. I was playing a character called Cutter, so I was a woodcutter. So I would literally get up in the morning, go out, chop. They had like felled trees, chop the trees up into stuff. Like, so the players would get up and see me working, then get them on a sled and pull them behind me, and then go sell them to the pub and the food producers so that they could actually burn them to cook the food. Like a full working thing.
Wow.
And they ended up killing my character. They murdered him in his sleep. Well, they murdered.
Well, it sounds like you blew yourself up in some.
No. It was. I played like 6 characters.
Okay.
Yeah. The funniest one was the head of the rats, who were like these little things that came out at night, and they would hunt people if they went outside the confines of the town. Because bear in mind, it's only lit by flames, torches around the outside, because it was set in a post-apocalyptic world, so it's like raggedy, like kind of Fallouty. But yeah, if they went into the woods, you hear that, and then they and these like little characters, and we just crawl up, and they got these little daggers and start slashing at people. And so they would learn not to go out into the woods. And then my main character, who was up when we started the weekend, you see the introduction is they've all been kidnapped and they're being sold into slavery. That's how they buy it. And then the rats appear to show them that they're dangerous, and they all get ferried into the woods. But they have an argument, and the mayor gets killed. So the whole point was one of the players was supposed to try and build themselves up to be the mayor, the new mayor. But my character got nominated. I don't know why. And they were like, they didn't like that. So I was like, whatever you do, don't go out into the woods. You talk like that. Don't go out into the woods. There's rats about. If you're going to go out and have a wee, make sure you take a buddy, stand back to back, and wee that way. And so I went out with it. I was like, I need a wee. Who's coming with me? This one guy, they were called the Underground. It was their little group, and they were all named after London Underground stations. Came out with me. Clapham came out with me, stood back to back and weeing, and I heard him go, sorry. Turned around, he put a knife across my throat. I was like, you dickhead. I'm going to have a wee, and I'm going to take one step left and then fall down. It took 45 minutes before anyone found me. It was properly funny.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
No, it was great.
Do you still do that kind of stuff?
No, I stopped doing that when I stopped cosplaying. But I mean, yeah, I would do it again, but it would have to be the right system, and that was a really good one. So yeah, the bar was set pretty high. We tried to start another one. It's called When the Shield War Breaks. It was going to be 8 players and almost 500 crew in a Viking scene, and they were going to basically these players would have to try and make their way through. It was like a 40-mile trek through these hills, and then it was going to be 3 or 4 villages over the way, and it was all going to be like completely working towns and everything. Wow. But it never happened. Budgets got in the way, but
one day.
Yeah.
One day. So yeah, where we left off was just, I think I was trying to impress upon you.
I am spiritual.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that you're spiritual, but I'd just say that it seems that you're a bit more, because of the therapy that you've done, and because of the way that you now live your life, and because of the alignment of your life, and even things down to like the spider journey, like all the things. He's in there somewhere. All of these things that how they line up, and like how all of this has happened for you. I mean, it seems that things happen for you quite quickly, and that it's almost like it's your duty to hold on to the things that are happening to you really quickly.
Yeah.
And then learn to control that dragon, and then learn to fly that dragon, right? And that...
Yeah. I think like a thing that I've ended up doing though is like, because I've jumped dragons so many times, and like I always feel like just before I'm about to reach the peak of the success in that thing, I'm like, I'm bored. I'm going to do something different. Sometimes I think my own worst enemy with that, and it's like my 3D prop making business was just starting to get really successful. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's a lot of CAD.
Just so much CAD.
Yeah,
it's just like so many cease and desist letters from various companies. But I get what you're saying. I think we are the architects of our own energy, and we can decide what kind of energy we want to be, as well as the energy we want to put out into the world and the energy we want to receive. And maybe because I'm trying to put out this positive energy and like positive feelings and attitudes and things, that when I do see the negative stuff, I just move away from it. And like I try not, like the amount of time people car meets, there's so much drama. And, somebody doesn't like someone else and they want to talk shit about it, and I'm like, mate, I'll be honest, I don't care. Just if you guys want to have a bicker, go and do a bicker. Go over there and do a bicker, but leave me out of it. I don't want to talk. I don't want to get involved in people's drama. If they're, obviously if people have got personal shit that they want to offload and talk to me about it, I'm all ears. And I'll talk people through hard times and difficult situations, or lend thoughts or opinions or whatever if they want. But if you just want to go, I don't like da-da-da because of it's like, I don't care. Just like, let the good stuff in and try and only put the good stuff out. And I think that's helped. But
is that your piece of advice for everyone?
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, you are the, at the end of the day, it's like the therapy, it's not the therapy, like the alcohol group, right? You can choose to drink or you can choose not to drink. And really, I think that process of you can choose really is a big thing that I can apply to every single aspect of your life. Really, if your life is shit and every element of it is shit, then the only person who really can change that is you. So many people sit around and expect that the Cinderella moment's going to happen. But for almost everybody, it isn't. And the reality is life is probably going to continue to be hard and continue to throw you challenges. And unless you objectively decide to go out and change things yourself, it's probably not going to happen. So, I'm always like, when my life was shit, there was nothing stopping me taking massive risks and doing massive changes, because what's going to get worse? The only way was up, to quote whoever it was.
The only way is up, baby.
But yeah, so the only way was up. So, I had no problem taking risks and trying to change things. And, I've always had that mindset of, if I want to try and do something or achieve something new, I'll go and try and achieve that thing new. The worst thing that could possibly happen is it doesn't quite work out as well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, things have generally worked out reasonably well for me. And I know that's not the norm. I'm in some YouTuber groups on Reddit, and people are always like, yeah, but you don't get it because you haven't struggled through 5 years of not having people watch your videos. You've got like reasonably successful in 6 months. I'm like, yeah, no, it's true. But
if everyone was the same and if everyone had exactly the same experience,
yeah,
the normal.
If becoming like a well-known YouTuber was easy, everyone would do it, right?
Yeah.
And there are elements of luck in that, and it's just like, but I think what I've done there is identified things that are going well and not going well, and cultivated everything, the content I'm making to be successful.
Yeah.
It's like everything. It's learning from what's working, learning what's not working, and learning how to change that and make the things better. So I try to apply that mantra and that way of thinking to all aspects of my life, whether it's, diet or relationships or work or whatever it is. But
requires effort.
Yeah.
Requires competence to be able to acknowledge and look at the things that you're doing and to retrospectively go, is that working? Is that not?
Yeah. And someone once said to me, nothing worth having comes easy.
Yeah.
And, I agree with that. Things that a lot of people want, they want to be rich and famous and successful. And if you want those things, you're going to have to go out and actually do some serious graft and take some real big risks in order to do that. And, whether that's me doing this or you cutting a table in half, trying to do this whole thing, it involves that element of risk. And, and what we loop back to what we talked about earlier with disruption, and sometimes you have to step on toes. I'm definitely stepping on toes doing this stuff. There's companies that I'm not going to like that I'm producing a very similar product, potentially better at 1/5 the cost. Yeah. And it's going to disrupt it a little bit. But what's the greater benefit? And for me, empowering hundreds of thousands of people potentially to do something, I'd rather that and step on 5 toes than the other way around. So yeah, that element of risk, but ultimately it comes down to self-belief. I think that self-worth issue that I had ended up over years of working on it, started to become into a self-belief that I am capable of doing these pretty incredible things, and having that trust in myself, to trust my own instincts and trust that I can identify good things and bad things and steer myself towards the good and away from the bad, I think is a positive message and idea to take out of it all. But yeah, it's definitely not been a straight line, even though, if you were to objectively just start at the start of the YouTube journey and look at where it's gone from middle of last year to now, it looks like a straight line of from nothing to doing reasonably well. And it's not been that. There's been 40 years of other stuff that's been crap that's led up to that one little point.
It's the mentality as well, right? If someone starts a YouTube channel and they struggle for 5 years, it's because they're teaching themselves how to do the things that you taught yourselves in other ways.
Yes, totally.
Right. So they're not necessarily being analytical straight away, and they're not following trends. But what you said to me in this is one thing happened and you're like, well, okay, I'll lean into that.
Yeah.
And does that continue? Oh, great. Okay. So if I start to pivot this way, does it change? Okay, it does a bit. So so it's growth. It's
yeah. And it's obviously transferable skills has really helped. When I first started doing this, I'd never programmed in C++ before.
Yeah.
But I've programmed in 14 other programming languages for almost 30 years. So once you know the concept, the syntax is the only difference.
Yeah.
Right. So if this requires a switch loop. A switch loop is a switch loop is a switch loop. You just got to know the syntax.
Yeah.
So, I'd start 10 rungs up on most people in that kind of respect. But I didn't 30 years ago. I started at rung 0. I'm at that point of the journey now.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that this is the medium. And will this continue to be the medium? I don't know. We'll see where life takes me. But right now, I'm enjoying it. It's going well. And I'm excited to see what the next few years plans. But
Man,
who knows?
I'm totally excited to see what the next few years have in store for you.
Yes.
And I think
this is going to be
you
good.
know, I think like having seen you again for the first time in, I think you said like 9 years, six.
No, when was it you at a gig?
2018, I think, wasn't it? So it was quite a while ago.
Yes, 7 years.
7 years. But having seen you for the first time since then, and seeing how different a presence you bring now.
Greater.
It's the grey. But how different a presence you bring in the sense of, as you say, like the aura that you have, like because you are more open to being positive and being helpful. As you said, you've like learned empathy, and I can't thank you enough for coming down here and
pleasure.
Like coming and chatting to me for what are we at?
3
hours and
why I'm hungry.
20 minutes. Because you don't have to, but you did, and I really appreciate that. And that just, I think that is a testament to the movements that you've made over your life, and the person that you are.
Well, I saw what you were doing here, and I was like, if I go in now, I could be like, I was there at the start before this was a big thing. So yeah.
Well, bless you, man. Well, I say bless you, but you can take that in whichever way you want.
That's quite right.
So for those out there who would like to check out and haven't checked out already, Garage Tinkering, Andy is online at youtube.com/Garage Tinkering.
Correct.
And www.garagetinkering.com.
Yeah, that's where all the products and stuff are, and where they
buy.
Yeah, and where the merch is going soon, but it's not on there yet.
So hold on, I've got like fresh out of the box merch.
They arrived yesterday.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Still got that Chinese box. No, not Chinese, Scottish.
Oh, that's not
exactly like Edinburgh.
The hills of
the Edinburgh Hills.
The Edinburgh Hills. Thank you so much for coming down.
My pleasure. It's good to be here.
In the video show notes, I'll put links to your projects, and for those who would like to go and get the second wave,
June, November. Yeah.
If you're in America,
who knows? Yeah, it's not my fault. You have a overlord that you need to point fingers at. Soon,
once the uprising happens.
Yeah. We'll see.
I did. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Lovely to have you here.
Time for a drive.